Good evening. Welcome back, everyone. Nico's here so far. Got a few more people here, it looks like, but everyone's excited by it. Retro magazines, maybe. I don't know. It's been a year, so let's go back to it. But yeah, welcome back, everyone. Due to the suggestion in Discord, I think it was Andy that suggested it's been a year since we did another read through of one of these Swedish PC Gamer magazines, or really any magazine that has, demo disc or cover disc, because there's something special about that, right? And I'm sure many of you have fond memories of that too. I certainly do, because in the 90s it was like basically a trip from Santa getting one of those cover discs because they had so many demos on it and patches and updates and everything. So it was a great experience. So I'm not sure if any of you have had a similar experience. Am I looking dark tonight? Oh, maybe. I'm wearing a little dark, but Evening Revenant. I guess that just happened. I didn't think about that, but it's like a hoodie. It's very black. Only work in black and really dark grays. So here we are. It was a little throwing off because, yeah, the perspective is different, the camera is different, the jury rigging with all the lighting is different. Always trying to adapt a little bit, but hopefully it works out okay. The new camera works out pretty well as well for the top-down perspective. I'm actually going to try something different. It comes with a little puck here that lets you control the camera too, which can be really handy. We're going to test that tonight for zooming in and focus and stuff like that. So, but that's true, Doppler. That was a drawback. Calling back to that, reading or flipping through the magazines in the store, and actually the same place that my parents had their small business where we could rent games. I mentioned that before. They actually had magazines as well. So the cool thing with that was that when they were returning the magazines to the publisher, often when they weren't selling, like some of these, like the British PC Gamer was pretty expensive. It was over 100 kroner in Sweden. So I mean, it's like a $13-15 magazine, right? And what would happen is if they didn't sell, they would have to take the disc off and like return them and like recycle and stuff like that. And at that point, they were all often like you can just kind of have them. So I got quite a few magazines that way. I did subscribe to the Swedish PC Gamer magazine for quite a while because there were really no other like PC gamer focused magazines in Sweden naturally. Excuse me, I just can't shake this cold I've had forever. I think I mentioned it last time too. It just won't let go. I have friends and coworkers who have a similar thing, just won't let go. So no COVID that I'm aware of, but it just let go. Anyway, there weren't that many magazines dedicated to PC gaming. We had the imports done with the British PC Gamer and also the US one, which were really cool. But having access to one local that was written by Swedes in Swedish was really fun and cool. And I subscribed to that for several years before I just realized it wasn't, by the time the internet came around, there wasn't that much reason to subscribe anymore because it was expensive. And you couldn't get that same like feeling of getting the demos and everything like you did back then. So, yeah, I subscribed to that for quite a while. I had I think it was a magazine called Super Power as well. That was also written in Swedish, which was kind of like a generic or general video game magazine, more about the consoles, more like kind of like CVG, or not CVG, but I'm trying to think of one that's equivalent in the US, but it would be like covering all the consoles, Super Nintendo, Genesis, or sorry, Mega Drive at the time, mostly focusing on Super Nintendo, really is the way it started, I think, and they expanded. Had a lot of those magazines, but I think I ended up recycling them or getting rid of them, sadly. And of course, I regret that now, but they take a lot of space and they weigh a lot, so I have mentioned it before with this magazine that we're going to look at tonight. The Swedish PC Gamer actually did not. A lot of the articles were actually written by other, like the US and the UK writers in the beginning to pad it out because they didn't have that many writers on staff yet when they launched this magazine. It was fully in Swedish, as we'll see. Hellishly hot role playing game. So this is Diablo, some of the first previews of Diablo, and I remember flipping through this magazine endlessly looking at the previews for Diablo because I was super excited about that one. And it turned out to be an amazing game. We had played it, of course, before. Everyone's played Diablo. The fact that Diablo came out in 97, and we're only on Diablo 4 so far. Long running game series that's not going anywhere anytime soon. But it was such an event to get the new magazine, to look at the previews, especially if you barely had dial-up or any internet at this time, and being able to, look up stuff that was coming or whatever it might be to get a feel for the stuff that you might want to buy later on. And I base a lot of my game purchases on what was in these magazines, especially this one. I mean, a lot of the big box games you see behind me were bought during this time period, and I bought many of the games based almost exclusively on this magazine. And sometimes I saw in here like, oh, that game looks cool, I'm going to go out and buy it. So, um, yeah, some of those games are huge, or games, sorry, those magazines are huge, and they just take a lot of space, especially if you've been subscribing for a few years, and all of a sudden you have like an entire shelf dedicated to magazines that might be fun to flip through. So I've taken the approach now that I will buy when I see in the wild sometimes some of these magazines from the 90s and stuff, sometimes, and make kind of like select purchases, not try and collect all of them. I would like to get more of the US PC Gamer because I have memories of that. I had quite a few from 96 to 97 to 98. I did collect quite a few of those, but those are hefty. I mean, I'm sure you've seen LGR collecting all of them, but they're massive magazines. Half of them ads. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Every other page is an ad, but that was a real treat to get those, and those are really expensive, so I couldn't get those that often. But I had quite a few, probably up to a dozen or so from that time period, and that was pretty neat. Those are awesome magazines, but it is. Oh my goodness, they were that big. Because yeah, that's the thing. This magazine hadn't been out that long, and you can see this is not a very thick magazine. I can actually enhance. Sorry if I can get the. There we go. Hang on, we're gonna enhance. You see it even had text on the spine here, but it's not a very, very thick magazine compared then to the cover disc here itself. It's not a thick one, but it was also in the beginning. They hadn't been out that long, so they didn't have that much to cover, and their writing staff wasn't that big yet. So there's some limitations, but the fact that you got this and a fantastic bundle. I think I got it for Christmas from my grandma for several years. A yearly subscription was kind of the thing that she kept around or giving me all the time. So we're going to start flipping through this magazine. There's a lot of cool stuff and very period fun and nostalgia things. Especially for me, the computer ads and the ads for the big box games are very nostalgic. But we'll take a look at a demo disc later on. There's a treasure trove of patches and games on here. Some we already played actually, but including the one that was the Terminator Skynet. We'll definitely check that one out. That was a forward-thinking game, to say the least, an early Bethesda title. There's a lot of other ones, too. We'll take a look at that in a second. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, even when you got the internet, you're right, because downloading a picture could take a while if you wanted a large, compared to, like, getting these, like, huge photos of the games or screen grabs or whatever it was a lot of that. And I did not enjoy the reviews that were very text-heavy. And being able to see, a large preview of the game you might be wanting to buy was really nice, and usually printed in very high quality. This is a glossy magazine, so as you see, it's glaring. A lot of the lights are reflecting, so that might be a bit of a challenge. So, evening, Bruce. Welcome. So, they always started out in the beginning. The Advertiser was pretty much always this one, including, we're not going to zoom in on here, but yeah, you can see this actually just blatantly are selling, we'll cover the shame there a little bit. Some of the stuff were actually just blatantly, directly adult content, straight up. Just straight up in here. And that's the world we lived in Sweden. But you can see all the big box games here. We have, Gene Wars, Hind, NBA Live 07, things like that. There's Worms and Tomb Raider. There's Max. I have that one. I think I bought Max based on a previous in this magazine. We can also see, if we zoom in over here, kind of trying to cover up some of the some of the bad stuff there. We can see here, we still have, some of the hardware stuff, which I thought was always really cool. You see that, of course, I mean, I have those, or some variety of these, and things like that. Wasn't it someone in Discord who had this here? One of these mega packs? Someone in Germany or something? But I mean, it was just a neat way to see, and you can call and order catalog and stuff. It was the best of times, was the worst of times. Why won't the zoom? Come on, there we go. Go back to normal. Come on, there we go. And it was a fun era because there was the late 90s was amazing for PC gaming. So we're gonna flip through that page there before I get demonetized based on that. Of course, you had the full page ads. Yeah, 56K. I'm trying to think. My first modem was probably like a 2880, I think. It was a integrated one included in my computer, and then I got a 36.6, I'm pretty sure from one of the, so they were doing a lot of time in the mid 90s and late 90s in Sweden was that you would go buy a modem bundle for 1 krona, which is like a fraction of a dollar, or yeah, less than a dollar, like 25 cents or whatever. And the idea being is you subscribe to the service and you signed up for like a year included in a bundle, but the modem was then included, right? Because they got that money back from the subscription. So, Evening Sukar, welcome. Welcome from the US, who is now visiting in the northern lands. But tradition. So I don't think there's any Swedes in the chat here right now. For anyone, tradition or tradition, this store, there was one store of this in Gothenburg in Sweden, and that was, I wish I had photos from it because that was the place. So we would go every few months. We would go there to shop because I mean I lived in a small town in Sweden, a tiny town. And we didn't have to go to any large city to do any real shopping. So what would happen is that we would go to the big town every few months. My mom and dad would buy like, clothes and whatever. We went to IKEA because you had to. In Sweden, IKEA is mandatory. And eventually we would go somewhere where I could pick up a toy or something like that. And then often they would buy me one big box game. I would get to go to the store tradition. It was one of those, like, I'm sure many of you remember going into a video game store around this era, or a PC store, and there's just rows. I mean, look like behind me, right? Just rows and rows and rows of big box games. Be able to pick them up, look at them, feel them, like shake them, see what's in there. And being able to do that was just amazing. And that store, particularly Tradition or Tradition, they had figure like tabletop stuff too. They were heavy on that. They had Warhammer, all that stuff, and that's where I bought many of my big box games, either with the money I saved up myself or one that my parents took pity and bought one for me. And like, for example, Simon the Sorcerer, I have vivid memories of going to pick that up, seeing a new adventure game, looked awesome, got that one, got home and played through, and had a blast. So, yeah, that's true. I didn't play online much during that era. I did play Red Alert a little bit online, not too much, but yeah. Evening, Johnny, welcome. The intro here from the editor for this, for the chief editor, hate the winter is what he's talking about. They're talking about how the winter is pretty nasty, and the winter is not fun in Sweden sometimes. And it's very dark and very cold for a long time. Very dark above all for a long time. So in February, you're done with it. You really want to get out. But yeah, they're talking about the basically the Swedish competition in Diablo. I'm not sure how you compete in that. Talking about Mech Warrior 2, things like that. But yeah, this is the chief editor and talking. He has a little column in each magazine, of course, talking about stuff. But we're gonna hop to some more stuff because this I love because you can tell this was kind of typical for this era, right? We didn't have, a lot of, in Sweden, there weren't many huge computer stores yet. So here you can tell this is the basic computer, and it's just a picture of the computer sitting in their workshop, right? It's not like a professional photo or anything. It's just a picture. And they've superimposed that, probably using, Publisher 95 or something like that. You can see here, this is a Pentium 120 megahertz with 1.6 gig of hard drive, 16 megabytes of RAM, 16-bit sound card. It doesn't even say what the video card is. Doesn't really matter. The muscle computer is a Pentium 200 megahertz, 3.8 gigabyte hard drive, 32 megabytes of RAM, 8-pound CD-ROM, Soundblaster 32, and a Matrox Mystique. That will be a powerful computer from this era, or probably the most powerful. And then, of course, so that was 19,800 kroner. So this is almost two grand, and you adjust that for inflation accordingly. So this will be a top of the line computer basically with the top parts, and including then at this point a near ludicrous Righteous 3D. Of course, we do have that in the machine tonight. I bought this card not for that price, but this will be $5 grand here, and I think it's just because this was, or sorry, not $5 grand, but like $500 or whatever. $550 or thereabouts. If you're gonna make it simple, do it like this, and you get dollars roughly, but you gotta adjust for inflation too. I think the dollar was worth 7 kroner around the time, so it gets messy. But if you want a ballpark, this is, just do this to get the number. So it looks like, let's see, it would have been, oh, this is the burner kit then, so it would have been, yeah, $300 or so, and that's about what I paid for mine, I think, for my Righteous 3D that's in this computer, and it was a fantastic card, and I still have it. So yeah, so there you have it. It's like you adjust for inflation, it gets a lot more expensive, but it was like the best of the best, and including an Audioby 64 here, which I did end up buying as well for not too dissimilar. But it's just, here's a computer, this dude's computer service in Gothenburg, Sweden. So this is kind of the ad you got here, and they have to include sales tax. That's something that's a law in Sweden. If you're selling to consumers, it have to include sales tax. So this is including taxes. I know that's not the case in the U.S. Because taxes vary from state to state. They often list prices without sales tax, but this is all including sales tax. So this is what you actually pay. So they have to do that. If it's selling to a business, you can subtract or use that for taxation purposes and remove the tax later on. So then they can show excluding sales tax. So, but yeah, this is the stuff that was amazing to walk into those stores. And we had some few local too. That was fun to support because, it was fun to give back to small business owners too. And if they were a decent price, I would happily buy from a local computer shop, or for them to stay in business because, I mean, the margins were so tight. But yeah, we have some inventory here, or not inventory, the index section of what's coming up in this one here, including the spring 1997, all the computer games that are coming up. So, and something that's very typical for these magazines was that they had an inventory of what was on the the CD, and telling you how to use it, what you need to do, including some information on, like, for example, like we see here for the Terminator Skynet, it actually shows you the keyboard combinations on how to play the game, which is a handy reference. But this is where the magazines, like you said, are really cool because you get these full page, or not full page, but really cool color photos, so you can actually see the game and everything before you play it. But it tells you a little bit about, specs requirements. Here we can see 486 DX2, 66 required, 8 megabytes of RAM, and MS-DOS. So this is an MS-DOS game. We are in Windows 95 on this machine right now. We'll flip over to DOS when we get to that needed. Because we're in that in-between era right now. 1997 beginning, DOS is still strong. There are definitely Windows 95 games out, but many games that were still in development for Windows 95 are going to continue on DOS. And Windows 95 wasn't that optimized yet for heavy gaming, I should say. I mean, many games got ported to Windows 95 later on, but it wasn't all smooth in the beginning, especially Direct 3D coming out still. I think DirectX 2 is included on the CD. It gives you an idea. We'll take a look at the CD later, of course, but yeah, we do have Sega Rally, Battleships, Golf 3, Kick, and the excuse me, which of course we have streamed already, which was a very good Command & Conquer style game. So, yeah, there was crazy with the sales tax, and that's something I forget about too. I live in where I am, 7% sales tax, and I'm so used to that now. And then I'm like traveling, you got to think like, oh, what's the sales tax here? Because that can vary wildly. Some states have 0 sales tax, some have a lot more. So, but yeah, it goes through all the stuff that's on the CD, so we'll hop through it later. But it has like information, how the DOS menu works. Yeah, some of the games, Alien Trilogy, we'll probably try it out tonight. Simpsons Cartoon Maker. And, this is a way to try some of these random games that, yeah, downloading a demo wasn't really a thing back then, right? It would take them forever, even if it was like a few megs. Bandwidth was very limited, to say the least, talking about all these modems that we're just chatting about here. Hello, Nara. Hopefully I get to visit again in the spring here sometime when I hopefully come back to DC. You want to see some amazing 90s hairdos here? Here we go. There we go. So this is the Frag Fest. We're going to do the walk on there again, including a person closing his eyes for the photo. This is Frag Fest 96. So this would be the like competition for playing Quake in 1996. Fragfest 96. And you see the computer nerds accordingly. And I think it was sponsored by Swedish PC Gamer, actually. Yeah. It's, it was Quake, I think, took the LAN party scene by storm because it was such a, everyone started playing it, I think, immediately. So it was part of the culture at this point. Quake was like the latest thing at this point and was the coolest thing because it just revolutionized 3D graphics and the way we played first-person shooters. So, yeah, exactly. Baggy t-shirts, baggy t-shirts, baggy jeans, and I mean, it was a glorious era. Something I think is a little interesting here is that this is actually a full-page ad for CD printing. And I think they're trying to get people that are looking at these magazines like, actually, I need to, send out demo discs for my new game or whatever so they can buy CD printed stuff. Getting mass market or volume CDs was, of course, a new thing at the time, or CD-ROM. So, Brett, welcome. We're looking through the Swedish PC Gamer for anyone joining us late here. Swedish PC Gamer from February of 1997. And some of the previews, I love looking at this stuff because you can sometimes see like, oh, wow, that game turned out awesome, or wow, that game never came out, or wow, that game turned out like doo-doo. It's fun to see the previews and see the hype, because some of the games here, of course, are extremely hyped, and then they eventually maybe came out or not come out, I'm not sure. So, yeah, I mean, I honestly... Sukra, if nothing else, making content is hard, but if nothing else, I enjoy, because this is a trip down nostalgia lane for me, of course, because I remember reading this magazine, back cover to cover over and over, right? Especially with the Diablo stuff in here before it came out, some Diablo previews, and then of course a review in here, and buying the game. And it's fun to walk through, especially if you do this here. Of course, I know most of you don't speak Swedish, right? So yeah, I'm not going to sit there and read exactly, but it's more like the timepiece, the time period piece can make it interesting. I think it would be hard to create a video around it unless it's US based. I think that's just the nature of it. But stream, I think it's fair. I mean, I enjoy going through this, and I guess you guys will have to just deal with me enjoying it. So have fun. I don't remember XCar. I don't think I ever tried it. And this is a first preview. In XCar, you can stretch the limits and test drive the future race cars. Yeah. I think this was basically just like a preview. Yeah, you can drive future supercars at about 480 kilometers an hour. Really, really fast. And you can crash them. Then you can build your own cars. The game's going to continue to develop. The more cars and components will be released from Bethesda's website. Really? This is the Bethesda published game. Interesting. Yeah, I actually am. I am actually using, I mentioned earlier, but I'm using the little puck here. The cool thing with the puck is that you can see here, if I do this now, woo, it lets me zoom in. And I can actually focus lock with that too by pushing a button here, for example. I can do this thing here. I can do another focus lock, and I can do that. And it's a little handy because it's basically using a little Bluetooth connector. So I'm trying with that and just messing with it. I can even switch to autofocus that way too. But yeah, I'm using the camera. It's handy from the practical side of perspective, but look at like the camera here comparison. Like, it's a little grainy because at the end of the day, it's still a webcam, right? This, what you're watching over here, is a Mark IV thirds, like, DSLR, right? With a full lens on it. So you get a lot better quality. That's just a matter of the size of the sensor. There's no way around it. The BenQ IdeaCam, as awesome as this for the practical stuff here, is still a webcam. So I'm working on a video on that one. It's again, was a sponsored deal from BenQ, so I'm going to make a little quick video on it, which should be coming out here in the next few days, I hope. So, yeah, XCar, I don't even remember anything about this, if it ever came out or not, but apparently Bethesda, so. And this is the era of the MMX, right? We are on the cusp of pod and things like that. And there's a lot of features talking about how MMX is going to revolutionize video games. Here's a very early screenshot of Epic's Unreal. It's hard to see here, but that is an early production screenshot of Unreal. Epic's Unreal should be the... Epic's Unreal is going to be the game that really shows off MMX when it launches in March, hopefully. I don't think Unreal launched in 1997, right? That was a 1998 game, and that was delayed several times, I think. Maybe for the better, because, I mean, it turned out to an amazing game, but it certainly was delayed, so... but they're talking, of course, how awesome MMX is and a new instruction set. And, I mean... Yeah, exactly. They must not, because it looks extremely flat. It looks more like Power Slave to me, almost, in the sense of the way it looks there in that screenshot. But MMX instruction set, of course, was useful, and I'm not a programming nerd, but the way they used it, but the way they were hyping it, it felt like this is going to, like, revolutionize 3D graphics, and some games took advantage of it, the MMX instruction set, but it was quickly overshadowed by 3D accelerated graphics, of course. I mean, it's like, there's nothing yet you wanted to do with the CPU eventually. It was all 3D accelerated, so... It didn't really matter at that point, right? You wanted 3D acceleration. You didn't care about things like, CPU instruction set for graphics at that point. Maybe I'm wrong or maybe misremembering it, but that's the way I felt about it. It's like by the time that 3D acceleration came in, I mean, CPU raw horsepower or rendering wasn't important anymore. It can be offloaded to do other things. That was the whole point. 3D acceleration is done on the GPU, and then the CPU can be left over for doing, AI computations or other stuff that, particle stuff or whatever. So, um, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, that's the thing. Pod, of course, was the poster child for that. It was always a thing about that. Like, Pod is going to use MMX. It's going to be amazing. It even said MMX Enhanced, I think, on the freaking box. I have it, but that they dropped that later on. Let me take a look quick. Yeah, here we go. Look at that. Look at that MMX logo there. Runs on Pentium processors and Pentium processors with MMX technology. And that was the thing. Designed for MMX. Pod was the poster child for this. I mean, I know that it runs well in software mode on an MMX processor, but it's not like it just was the best, because of that. It was just a neat thing. Anyway, just a fun side note in the thing. But yeah, you're right. We did get a lot of color lighting later on. That became like a thing. But yeah, Pod is all right. I will say that as well, Revenant. I'm not going to say it's not a bad game, but it's a fun racing game. But it's not one that I'm like, wow. I know LGR, for example, is really really fond of it, and he plays it quite a bit. Oh, look at this screenshot from holy buckets, yeah. And there's a picture of Pod. So yeah, here's Unreal. The 57 new instructions will be completely transparent for the end user, but for programmers, there's something extra special. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, there's also another early production screenshot from Unreal. This looks like Pod, both of them here. Most of the developers are going to support MMX, but it's not like a certainty that will be supported on all titles. At least not to begin with. So, but among the MMX game that we know of, there's Rebel Moon Rising from Fenris Wolf, an action 3D game that's going to use FMV with high square frequency, which is just FPS. That sounds really badly translated. Ubisoft has produced Pod, a car game in 3D with 30 frames per second, based on the Last Danger moped out of nowhere city scenario. These are small titles. The Epic Unreal is the one they're talking about mostly. But of course, Epic Unreal, while I'm sure used MMX instruction sets, the big thing, of course, was 3D acceleration in that game. There you go. Promo to subscribe. We've actually gone through these 3 magazines already. This one I covered by myself. I don't think anyone else was on a stream when I did it. I think like 2 people. And then these 2 we have covered on stream. So we're working our way through. So we're now on my 4th magazine that I have. And I have at least a dozen of these. So I guess we'll work through it over a decade. Yeah, they're trying to sell. So here you can see some of the magazines here are more like consumer focused in the sense. PC Mac magazine, CD-ROM magazine. It was a big deal, of course, that the CD-ROM was available. But what we do see here is a preview of Claw, which of course is a very good platformer. So, I'm not sure I recognize or remember Rage Racer either. I guess I'm a blasphemer as well. And there's a lot of good racing games. But yeah, you're right. As far as like color lighting, and Need for Speed 2 was just ridiculous. And it's weird. Need for Speed 1 was such a like car magazine centric, and then they kind of went more and more arcade racer from that, and they kind of went away from that. And the beginning was very much like a car magazine extension, right? So good question. I think that several YouTube channels have covered that. Civi11 has done a lot on his channel for the different Monolith games, right? They did Blood 2. Was Chogo their last one? I know that they went somewhere or they got kind of like created new studios or something. I'm not sure what they did after, but I know there's a story behind it. So, talking about Chalupa sounds really good right now. But yeah, Claw, of course, a fantastic platformer. But yeah, question is where the screenshots came from, if they were from the PC version or something else. That's That's a good question. You never quite know, right? So, but yeah, still a good platformer, and it runs really well on a Windows computer. And it was kind of like a thing that you could show off what they could do. And it's actually a game that now is kind of like collectible, quite collectible. Getting the box is pretty expensive nowadays, and that's what happened. I know, again, LJR very fond of this one. I know he's covered that as well. Other channels, of course, have covered it too. But and here we go, like a first look at a game that I would not associate with PC, but Die Hard Trilogy. And I think there's a demo on this disc actually for this. This is a Saturn game to me. That's what it screams like to me. And we played this, I believe, when we did the... was that Die Hard Arcade? I thought it was Die Hard Trilogy on Saturn when we streamed that. Yeah, there are 3 games in one, 2 classic shoot 'em ups, and 1 car game. Which game did it 64 player? I'm not sure. I'll leave the chat to decide there, but yeah. They're basically saying, oh, Claw, maybe. There was something weird with that one, but yeah. This game, yeah, we're almost in December. I guess tomorrow's December. My goodness. So behind on content and everything. And real life has been a bit of a thing lately, so I'm definitely been behind on content. I would like to get back into it, but it's been a struggle. What I'm trying to do here now is kind of clear out my workspace to make it more conducive to just being able to create content and also be more okay with letting it go. I feel I can make a video pretty confidently on, like, here's a scripted intro, here's just me showing off the stuff, kind of like I'm doing now, more or less, with just, you know, hands-on the stuff, like computer, whatever it might be, and an outro that's scripted. And I think I can make that kind of video more frequently than I do now, where I just hard script an entire video and I agonize or antagonize about every single thing. Yeah. Yeah, Die Hard Trilogy, they're, of course, trying to hype it up. They don't have, like, you know, code of this here yet. They're just showing off what they think the game is going to be, right? So that's kind of like the thing. So Hexon's Return. So this will be Hexon 2 then, using the Quake engine. And this is the first preview here. And this was, of course, you know, we streamed that as well. Hexon 2 was a fantastic one. And using a Quake engine afforded a lot of different things. But you can see here, they're using software rendering here big time because there's huge pixelations everywhere, which is fine. But that guillotine, I think, is part of the castle you run into in the early part of the game. But let's see, when they're talking about, I'm not sure when that came out. But yeah, I could have sworn at least the guillotine, right, is in the castle, isn't it? I don't know about these, but when we went to a VCF Midwest, a whole bunch of us went out for pizza the night before, or on the Friday there, and we went to a Chicago deep dish style pizza place, and everyone was raving about it. I don't usually have a good time traveling, going kind of like crazy with eating. It doesn't sit well with me, and I regret it later on, to say the least. I'm not going to go into detail. That's beyond the scope of this video. However, deep dish pizza, although it looked amazing, not one I want to tackle. However, a couple of people there, actually, I forget now too, they bought too much pizza and actually offered for me to take back to the hotel. And I ate it the next day for lunch, I think, or I can't remember now. Anyway, I had it in the fridge because they didn't have access to a fridge, so it was very kind of them. Not a YouTuber, and I feel bad forgetting his name now. But I did have that deep dish pizza later on, so maybe the grease had settled, I guess. But yeah, it is basically lasagna. I mean, it looked amazing, but I ended up buying or eating, I think, salad or something, and that's me chickening out. It's just mostly when I travel, I just is risking it. Anyway, side tangent. Hexon 2, of course, ended up being a fantastic game, although it is a very Quake engine game. Extremely Quake engine game. Yeah. Yep, that's right, Sukar. So I went to college in Malmö in Sweden, and there was a great place there that had what they called, you know, American deep dish pizza, but it was just a boatload of cheese, and I feel like it has to be done the right way. And from what I had, at least in the Chicago place, it was really good, genuine Chicago deep dish pizza. Like most of the things, you want to go to the real place for it, for good pizza, but plenty of places. But yeah, Hexon, of course, 2 is fun. And this is the first look at Blood, which is, it's an interesting juxtaposition, isn't it? But Quake is out by now, and we have 3D rendered graphics. Or not 3D rendered, this software, but it's 3D full polygonal 3D graphics in video games, right? And then you still have these games that are, you know, they're cranking out. 3D Realms is spitting out these build engine games, which is kind of like a pseudo 3D, right? Because the build engine isn't fully 2D, although it's more a 2D engine and it's 3D, it has some 3D elements in it, right? But Blood, of course, we have not streamed that yet. We will eventually. We did Shadow Warrior here now a few weeks ago, so we have at least done one more build engine game. Of course, it's a really good game, but the fact that we're still having this in between, right? You have DOS games, you have Windows games, and you have 3D acceleration coming in here now strongly. The Voodoo is out by now, and you can do full 3D accelerated graphics, and that's not the majority, but it was a very like changing time. Think about computer gaming from 1995 to 2000. What a ridiculous leap it was, because the thing now is that, yes, video game graphics have gotten amazing. Like, you look at modern games, and they look really, really good. But if you take a good game and go 5 years back, to me, the game looks really, really good still. Like, I played Horizon Zero Dawn here recently and finished it, and played it in the PS5 mode. And it looks amazing to me. Of course, Forbidden West looks even better. But, like, that jump, that leap is not as transcendent as it was in the late 90s. I mean, it was ridiculous how fast things were moving on the computer space, mostly because of 3D acceleration. So yeah. But yeah, Blood, of course, is an amazing game. I haven't played it that much, honestly, so we'll stream it at some point. It is a fantastic game, of course. But yeah, 3D shoot 'em ups are always rock and roll. It's one of their things that's saying is plus. Oh, it even has a percentage complete here. 70% is what it says there. See, they don't even have a completed on this one, so they don't even have it listed. Dire Trilogy, 98% completed. Release date February, and this is supposed to be releasing in April. I'm not sure if it did or not. I think this is 97. Blood is a completely new and very interesting weapon arsenal. We know that. The environments are more beautiful and more varied than any other similar game. It's not science fiction, which was a fair point. Pretty much every like shooter from this era was like science fiction-y. Is early 1900s. There's more blood spilled than any other bloody game. So, Evening SimCity 4 for sure. But yeah, we will definitely play Blood for sure. Stream that for sure. Now look at this. Here's the first look. And also Mark Donnell here then is one of the UK writers, I think, that wrote, and they translated it into Swedish. So here's the first look at Grand Theft Auto. And this, of course, was before it became explosively huge for Grand Theft Auto 3. So yeah, we are Grand Theft Auto original, which we have streamed. And I realized that game is not super fun, I guess, anymore. It was exciting for the time. It was fun messing around the city and trying to kind of break the game, if you will, or trying to do random stuff. But I don't know how much it holds up at this point. I don't know. But yeah, that's true. And it's interesting because I tried the 3D accelerated mode in Shadow Warrior, actually, and it wasn't very much like on the Voodoo 1. It ran terribly. It ran super slow versus the software one much quicker. And I think it was just that they shot too high at that point, right? You probably needed a Voodoo 2 or something better. But on the Voodoo 1, it ran terrible on this machine. So, but yeah, it is like some of those games used to the acceleration. I mean, heck, Diablo 2 has Voodoo 3 support. I mean, it has Voodoo support or Glide, and you don't think about that because it feels like a very 2D game, but it's like it could render in 3D, quote unquote, even though it's a very 2D-esque game with like pre-rendered components in the game. So, but yeah, here's the first preview of Grand Theft Auto. You can run over people with cars and trains. You can decide how you play the game yourself. 24-bit colors. There are 200 missions. Every city has typical things, like in San Francisco, there's Chinatown. And it's interesting how they what they tried to do, and they can do that with the limitation of the time, of course. It feels very much like an Amiga game on crack, like that kind of style to me, versus what we got later that was a complete trendsetter with Grand Theft Auto 3, which is just blew the lid on open world, city, do whatever you want kind of gameplay, right? So, look at this. And this, I believe, is what made me buy the RW64, which is, we have this very card in this machine that's running right now. So this machine that I have now is the AST Adventure 8100 or whatever, and it's the equivalent of the Swedish one I had, or the Scandinavian one, with the same processor and performance and everything. So yes, it's very nostalgic for me because I had a Voodoo 1 card in this same machine. I had the RW64 in the same machine, which is what we have now. So the video card, or the Voodoo, and the RW64 are the exact same ones that I had, or I bought from this time period. And I'm pretty sure this very same thing here made me buy the RW64 eventually. And of course, it is a fantastic all-rounder card, still to this day for DOS and Windows gaming. It's a great Windows 95/DOS card. Maybe not the best sounding ever, but it's so flipping compatible. It works on everything. So, the sound card that is not Sound Blaster compatible has a hard time in today's market. And that's a fair statement because by this point, Sound Blaster standards were like the one to follow. You had to have a standard for it. So, yes, that is accurate. Some of those OEM ones are not as good. So, but yeah, you don't need super expensive MIDI or equipment to get a super good or to good quality and feel in the sound from murdering monsters and like rumbling killers, basically. So they're trying to pimp up that one to say, yeah, this card, like I said earlier, if we look at the Swedish prices, the easiest thing to do is like to do this. You can take one last digit off and you get roughly, so $200-ish, and then adjust for inflation, right? So it's probably double that. So this is probably a $400 card adjusted for inflation or something. And I think I bought mine on sale later on for less than that. I don't think I bought the value one. I might have it. I don't think so. Look in the, I think it's just a straight up in device manager on the machine now. I think it's just the default AW64. Don't think it's a value one. But of course, getting a AW64 value, not the Dell OEM one, those can be probably the best bang for your buck as far as like getting everything working in Windows 95 and DOS. So yeah, you don't need to have enough horsepower to do it right. I mean, in 9 times out of 10, a integrated sound card is plenty enough for what you're doing probably. I mean, you can use a external DAC to get even better audio in some cases, but it's like having a sound card anymore is not really a huge boon. So this is a preview of Magic the Gathering, I think, for the PC that came out later on. Magic in Real Time. I wonder if this is this one. I'm trying to say what the name of the freaking game is. Yeah, Microprose. Yeah, I think this is the Magic the Gathering. This might have been offshoot. There was a Magic the Gathering like actual game. This might have been a real-time strategy offshoot with cards, I think. It was a similar one. Yeah, I just don't remember if this one actually made it out or not. I don't see what the name is here. The... Acclaim. Yeah, I'm not sure. Corridor's World. Yeah, it's a strategy campaign thing. I don't remember if the Magic Gathering, the actual game... I see the box art in front of me. I don't have the game, sadly, but... I'm not sure if this is the same game or something different. So here's where it gets real fun because you can look at these like this is like, oh, here we go. This is where you could buy all these games, right? And you have them categorized. This is going to be really small fine print. It's going to be hard to get this capture on camera, especially with the webcam. It's going to be blurry here, but we'll do our best. You have role-playing games. You have simulator games, flight games, flipper pinball games specifically, fighting games, strategy. Let's take a look. We have Allied General, 299 kroner. So, you know, $30-ish, just for inflation. Some of the more expensive ones, for example, Civilization 2 that just came out, $469, so they could sell that for more. But if you were to go back now and buy these new in box for that price, you can buy these for less than that now, honestly. Most of these games aren't that expensive. And I kind of have a mental barrier almost. I'm not going to pay more than the game originally cost. Now, this one's hard to find. Big Red Racing. Simcopter, especially the one with the pilot aviators in there. But you can see, this was in Europe. Soccer. Soccer, 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 soccer. Copter. No, it's just, you know, they say that's just what they call. Let's see, there's this PC CDR game starter kit there. Let's see what it says there. What's that including there? 20 Wargame Classics. So these are bundles, yeah. They just call them that. No, this is third party. This was just random advertising. So the company is CBI, Computer Boss International. And that's just happened to be a random... Evening, Brian. Welcome, by the way. These are just a random reseller, right? That's pretty much it. So they're based in Eskilstuna in Sweden. You could fax your order in if you're so inclined. But yeah, this magazine is just littered with these smaller stores. None of these are being sold by the publisher. And it's very possible that this particular publisher or this particular seller was associated with the publisher. It's not impossible. But in this case here, I think it's just a random one. I remember this ad was on there all the time. I don't think I ever bought anything from them. Because as a kid, For a teenager at this time, I looked at where's the cheapest to buy the game. When we went to that store Tradition in Gothenburg, I would, of course, buy the game in person. But otherwise, I would look at the by far cheapest one. I would order random places I knew nothing about if the price was, $10 cheaper. Absolutely. Or $5 cheaper. No problem. And it's amazing that I never got scammed or we all got them because you had to call an order. You could fill in here and say, like, I want these and you can send this in. But most of the time, we would call or order it that way. Hello, I want to place an order for this game, blah, blah, blah. And then you could actually pay through postal. I assume I forget what's called in English, but you could basically do a pay through postal. So you could basically say, yes, send me this game. And when it arrived at the post office in your hometown, you would have to pay them the full purchase price. That way you could pay in cash or whatever card or whatever you happen to have. There was no checks. Checks never really made it around in Sweden. You couldn't really use that. It's not a form of payment in Sweden. And you could do that. So that was a way to pay for it without having to, like, give your credit card information over the phone. It was not something you did, at least in Sweden in the 90s. So, yeah, sport managers and soccer is huge. Was, at least when I was a kid, in Europe, and it still is. So, welcome, Derek. We're not playing Call of Duty here. No Call of Duty. We're just talking about all these Premier Manager or soccer management games here. And very nice. Yeah, it was very expensive. I do have a box TI-99 4A actually in my storage room back here with a flash cartridge. We'll stream on that sometime. I like to be able to figure out. Yes, there you go. Thank you. Okay, I'll see. My brain is adjusted to modern talking, but yeah, cash on deliver is basically the way through the Swedish Postal Service that you did that. So yes, thank you. Not Call of Duty. There was no Call of Duty back. How my brain works. But I like to get the systems rigged for the best video pick quality I can get, because upscaling composite doesn't always look good. You need a good scaler for that, which I don't really have. Like, I'm sure RetroTink 5X or the new 4K would do amazing job with composite as best as it can, but when you scale that to 4K on a flat panel, it just does not come across very well. So anyway, Realms of the Haunting. This is a review, actually. And it's funny how much, to me, when you look at old games like right now, right, how much lighting has improved, especially with ray tracing, but just how good game artists have gotten at making like games look really good with lighting. And that's something that was lacking a lot back then, is that they didn't have technology for it yet. But lighting and the quality of lighting and how good they are at applying that lighting is what really, to me, has transformed how games look. Because you take a game like this here, which for this era, it looks good. This is, 3D accelerated and a whole bunch of cool stuff. Realms of the Haunting, I remember being very good looking game. And you move to today and you see even a Xbox 360 PS3 era on, everything looks a lot better because of lighting and shadows. And the lighting is a huge part in how something looks realistic. So, but yeah. They did not recommend it, but this is their format here. Yeah, very pre-baked. You look at like this, so you can see some of the spec requirements here. 4666. High res, you have to run a Pentium. Sound card, all usual sound cards. Out now. I remember Realms of the Haunting. Let's see what they gave it. 84%. This is reviews. And it's kind of like, in this point here, you'd think that 80 plus would be a great score, but, we knew how it was with the 90s. Anything that wasn't 95 or higher was basically like crap, and that's kind of the problem with review bloat, right? They often gave very high numbers all the time, so yeah. Everything is done with motion capture. It has a very Tex Murphy style to it, to me, what it looks like there, but I didn't really play it. I remember the box for it. I remember all that stuff around it, but I wasn't interested because it has a horror element to it, and it's just not kind of my thing, so but, of course, I'm dissing now probably someone's favorite game of all time. So, here we go. A10 Cuba. The flight simulators were flying high, as it were, in the 90s. Everyone was releasing flight simulators. There was just a boatload of them from the 90s on, really. And it feels like that came from the Amiga and that era of computers. As soon as computers were fast enough to render vector-based or polygonal-based 3D graphics to do flight simulators, they just exploded. And there were so many flight simulators from like 1990 and on. And of course, earlier too, but not as, polished or good. But then you got into 3D rendering too, and there were just so many flight simulators. Uh, it's just, if you like flight simulators, you enjoy it. Yeah, it's just, I think this is just kind of middling here in this case. A little boring, a little dry, a little sad, but probably excellent for the right person was their end review here. And that's how they sell it, right? Like, if you like flight simulators and you love the A10, you probably like it, but there were other A10 games as well. Silent Thunder was a series as well. There's a lot of A10 games. It's been a favorite thing to cover, I think, for a lot of flight simulators, because it's an interesting aircraft. So, yeah, Flight Simulator is still good, right? There's a new one out even now that's also excellent. So, but yeah, there's so many of them, and many a times I think in this case here, you actually can fly different things except A10 specifically. Yeah, that's Flight Simulator. Some of them, of course, people love them, but some of them, of course, were pretty middling. There was a lot of them. Yeah, the Warthog itself is a ridiculous aircraft. It's like, let's take a gun the size of a Volkswagen Beetle and make a airplane around it. That's pretty much it, and here we are. Anyway, Tunnel B1, I certainly remember that being hyped. These screenshots are very bad. They look like they were taken off a screen. This one was released on PlayStation as well, was it not? And this looks like PlayStation 1 screen. But this must be taken on a screen. They're extremely, like, flat and, like, oversaturated. Heck, that one even... I think this one even shows, like, the freaking, like, lines here from the picture. They can't really see, but there's lines here. That's probably from the TV they took the picture off. I bet these are taken from screenshot directly on PlayStation playing on TV. Yeah, seeing that thing in action is pretty ridiculous. There's no other aircraft that can replace it, really. So, it requires a powerful processor, but if you have it, you can have a lot of fun with Tunnel B1. Tunnel B1 is a good shoot 'em up, except for missing the strategy. I think Tunnel B1 is a very, like, on-rails shooter, if I remember right. You kind of fly around Tunnel B1. Exciting. That's what they called it. So, now one of PlayStation's probably most visually advanced games has been converted to PC ported. So I haven't tried this one on PC, but it's a very Descent, very Terracide, very... thinking about one. What's the other one? Forsaken. Right? That kind of gameplay. And it's an excellent game. I remember trying a demo of it and not being very super excited, because I think it is very much a tunnel-based on-rails shooter more than it is completely free-form flying. I could be wrong there, but yeah, the missions are often that you have to get from point A to point B under certain time restrictions. Yeah. Tunnel B1 is just not a good shoot 'em up. It's not only a good shoot 'em up. Often you're forced to shoot things to blow up certain things like a reactor. Never had to do that in a 6 Degrees of Freedom game before. So yeah, this is a 6 Degrees of Freedom game, kind of Descent-like, but more structured. So there was a long line of NASCAR racing games, of course, on the PC at this point. Surprising. It's a very fast game for being a car gaming SVGA, and that's what's kind of like the infamous thing with... You think of software rendering, right? And when you do that, you basically... well, there's an interesting part down here, actually, about that. Doing high-resolution software rendering was brutal for processors. And you knew by then, if you tried to run a game of 64x480 on a Pentium-era processor, you're not going to get a smooth experience. It's going to be very, very jerky, very poor. It's just not going to be a fun time. And that's just the way it was. And they actually highlight that down here. It's a little hard to see here. But in here, they can show this is what it looks like on a Pentium 133. This is what it looks like on a 46. It looks like freaking like Virtual Racer on Genesis, right? Or even earlier, Test Drive 2 or whatever. Versus you look at all the textures added, all detail, and here is just super basic polygonal, which kind of looks like a throwback racer at this point. But that's what you had to do on a 46. Just when you probably didn't have LOD and all the 3D effects that you expect. It was brute force processor. So, yes, fairly early on, I got a Logitech non-force feedback wheel. I think it was the one that had yellow on it. Bought it pretty cheap and played that. I think I had that in the late 90s, probably. I ended up buying that cheap because a friend group of mine, we basically started having racing game like LAN parties. So not racing game only, but we did little LAN parties, and then we started playing Need for Speed Porsche, for example. That was in 2000. I think I bought my wheel probably in 98 or 99. And it was one of those on sale, not without force feedback, and that really takes a lot away from the experience, but it was fun. So I did have a wheel for quite a while, and I feel like it was just a thing I had to have. I remember buying it and talking to my brother, who was 10 years older than I am, but like he'd already moved out at that point. But it was just like he also got a wheel. We compare notes and talk about how amazing it was to play the games compared to before, where you just use the keyboard most likely, more likely than not, and it was like you steer a car and you do the full motion. So that steering wheel, I think, is still at my parents' place. Maybe I'll drag it with me next time I go back to Sweden. I think it's still in a box somewhere. I think I was gonna chuck it because I just will never use it again. So, it's weird. I think it was just a thing because we can. You know, like we wanted that high resolution and to show the consoles, and I think it mostly had to do with the target, right? Most PC monitors could support more than 640 by 40, 800 by 600 was nothing for a 17-inch or even a 15-inch standard CRT. It most likely went to 800 by 600. 99% of consumer TVs were 240p. That's kind of what they were, 480i, right? And then that meant that you weren't pushing much stuff. So that's why the consoles targeted that, because they were targeted for, TVs. There was no reason to push higher resolutions until we got the PS2 era where they had more horsepower to do 480i if they wanted to. But some games and some stuff supported 480i, of course, on the PlayStation 1 as the N64. But the main target was 240p. So that's what we got there. But you're right, just because you could. I think back to myself, like, from this era here, what machine would you need to have to run this game with max settings, max details, and like 800 by 600? There probably was not a machine that could do that. So this was almost like a crisis of its era in that sense, right? Some of these racing games were that because they were so demanding. There was no machine on planet Earth that could run it smoothly at high settings. So it is interesting, at least until we got 3D acceleration and offload a lot of that, you could have a better experience. But doing that in software on the CPU was just not feasible for a lot of these games. So there you go, Dual Pension Pro, and probably what took advantage of it. So Grand Prix 2, for example, the F1 game for me was also one that was very heavy to run and had a lot of really good details if you ran it in software mode, max settings. But who had expected the sequel to the somewhat boring NASCAR could be this fun? So it looks like they added a whole bunch of stuff. I don't think I've ever played this one, but I don't really seek out NASCAR games. But of course, there is a huge fan base for that as well. Glorious mustache on Dale Earnhardt. Look at this. This is Fable. Not the Fable we know and love maybe from the Xbox, but Sacre Bleu, it's a surprising French humor game. Point-and-click adventure game from France. Nice, that's what it says. Competent but uninspired adventure games that's borrowing heftily from other games, but not always from the right ones. So, yeah. It's... I don't even... I think I kind of remember it. But it's just some random... some random point-and-click adventure game from the 90s. I don't recognize this really much at all, but I remember the name Fable. But there was a lot of different games that came out trying to cash in on whatever popular thing. The RTS explosion of the late 90s, point-and-click adventure games, et cetera, et cetera. So, who knows? But what's more interesting, yes, here. This is a store I bought from several times. The Spielbieten is a Stockholm store. I went there a couple times, but I ordered from them a lot because they were pretty much the cheapest ones. If you called an order, you got a lower price. And it meant you could save, $2 to $5 per game in many cases. So this was one I ordered from quite a bit. And they actually went under eventually. I think that you buy 2 games and you became a member and then you get a discount on the next one. It was the idea being that you can keep the discount rolling, right? Kind of like a Kohl's rebate thing. And that was the thing that I took advantage of. And I bought many games from them, and just for probably a couple of years, most of the games I bought, unless it was in store, I ordered from these guys because they ended up being cheaper. For example, if you had that same discount here, you could save, like, in this case here, like 50, 60 kroner, which ends up being $5-6 per game. And as a teenager or kid, that adds up pretty fast if you're buying more than a game a year, basically. So I used that did order from them as well because I remember their logo was just so ridiculous, like a metal cover. Here's an importer that's getting specific games from different regions and everything. But this one for sure, I definitely ordered. But they did go under eventually. But it's just this, you can tell they just kind of, no transparency. They just dropped the images in, and it was just, that's just the way it was around that time. But I bought Z from these guys for sure. From maybe this even magazine right here. So if you bought it with their discount, it was $2.99 instead of $3.49. So that's, yeah. Not necessarily a book of the month club. It was just that as long as you kept buying games, the discount kept rolling. It wasn't a, like, they didn't send it to you. But if you were, let's see here, buy 2 of the games and you become a free member. And going on, you can buy and then you get to enjoy that discount. So basically, as long as you bought 2 games, you became an automatic member and then you were included in their lower prices. It was almost like, hey, it's a, you know, loyalty reward. It's probably closer to that. And that ended up being then cheaper because I look and see, like, after I bought 2 games from them, then I got to use their cheaper price list. Then that was it, right? So, yeah, buy 1 game and you get 50 kroner discount, and then pay. You could basically, yeah, as long as you kept buying from them, the discount, the membership was included, but then every year you had to pay more or keep buying games. So that made them just the cheapest, really. And I went into that store one time. We were in Stockholm one time, and I actually went into the store, and it was literally just like a tiny little store somewhere random in a building that were clearly more like a warehouse more than it was a store. But it was just like they had 2 guys working there, and it was just like a tiny store with like just games on each every wall, and that was it. It was just nothing special. But they clearly operated on mail order more than anything. So only real PC games in box, no OEM. And that was the thing, too, you have to watch out for because they were maybe getting cheaper prices. So look at this. They have a Versus feature here. And, of course, they say here, you can look at there. We have a demo on this one here, which is Sega Rally. It's on here. We'll try it on PC here in a minute. Destruction Derby versus Sega Rally. Rashed. Yeah. And that's the thing, too, for eBay. It was like, some of these were trying to stake their claim as the cheapest reseller or seller of whatever goods you were getting. But you have to be aware of that because it wasn't like you can always research or look these places up. They may not even have an online presence at all, right? So, yeah, they're basically comparing Destruction Derby versus Sega Rally. I don't know if that's a fair comparison. They're very different type of games in my mind. Because, I mean, it's rally versus, like, stock car crashing racing. So I think they just reviewed them at the same time to save space, and they're 2 car games, yeah. Sega Rally is the best car game ever, not on PC, and enormous performance requirements. Sad. Destruction Derby is a somewhat worse game, better presented and better optimized. You choose. So 84 for Sega Rally and 83 for Destruction Derby. And I don't know that I've even played Destruction Derby much, except a demo at some point, so maybe that's one we can explore as well. We should probably, and that's something been on my list for quite a while too, is a racing game compilation stream. Because I found that when we stream a single racing game all night, it becomes a little stale in that sense. It might be a good choice to do a DOS racing games stream night or something like that. That's something that's been on my mind to do. But then you gotta collect the game, decide which ones, pre-install them, make sure they work, etc. So, the car that rules, Lancia Stratos. I'd be inclined to agree there. What an iconic car. I was a rally follower in the late 90s. A lot of Bretts here. 20. Aftershock, which was a expansion for Quake, which was not made by id Software. Yeah. On CD Gamers, there are often extra free levels for Quake. Now you have a chance to pay a few hundred kroners to get a few extra. I think that it is a officially sanctioned expansion pack to Quake, but I don't think it was made by id Software. Someone correct me there if I'm in wrong, but I'm pretty sure. Nothing exciting, but very competent shareware-like Quake levels. Good for those that don't have access to internet. So Aftershock is a pretty collectible box. I think it came out on a box. But it's just wondering if you have a bundle of levels. I mean, that's really what it is. It's just a bundle of more levels. But yeah, like you're probably alluding to there, I don't know, remember I played any of them, but I'm assuming they're shareware quality, and it was just a way to get games in expansion. So, there's a Brett only chat going on right now. Here's they're trying to make it look like a website, right? Look at this, Netscape that site, they're even highlighting it so you can see. Go to www.10.torget.se. And Torget was this is basically a copy of the website. They were trying to make it look like they call it Torget, which is like a city square in Swedish. And they were trying to make it like, this is your one-stop shop for video game stuff. And it was, I went there a lot. It was one of the kind of the sites I used as kind of like, this is where I go to check out, like, I don't know, a stop. Like you had back in the internet. Like I kind of do still, I suppose. But you don't have any aggregators back then. You might just have a stop site that you went to, part of your check of different websites. And this was one of the sites I went to quite often because Torget was a gaming news site that was a good place to find links and stuff like that. Are you a gamer or a lamer? How extreme can we get for 90s? You will hurt. Diablo. Of course, that was a big deal about that. But yeah. Welcome to the cheat zone. I have that showing off here too. Different things. Quake World, new servers going. Fat cheating archive. Now on here. So they linked the cheat zone, but it's just clearly it's a copy of a website here. They just took the actual picture, including, if I can get it in the frame here, but you can see at the bottom here, it even says document done. It shows the Netscape Navigator. They took the whole thing and put it on the magazine. So that's pretty funny. NBA Live 97. There was, of course, yearly releases of all these things. You have a team of Quake dudes in light sweaters, and they're talking about how it looks like the Quake dude, because you look at the graphics, right? That's come a long way too. But back then they're basically taking it looks like Quake, so they're saying these are basically just your Quake Ranger running around here playing basketball, which is probably an apt description. Yeah, a good basketball basketball game that requires a powerful PC to be appreciated fully. So yeah, Gil O'Neill when he's a little bit younger. Of course, this is the heyday of basketball. I'm not a sports follower, so I did not follow the basketball scene in the 90s either. But of course, a lot of people are very big fans of that. So Alien Trilogy, which that's a big selling thing on consoles, of course. That was the Alien Trilogy was the Jaguar one, right? That everyone hyped up as kind of the Jaguar killer game, if you will, or at least one of them. One of the better ones on the system. Here, it's 75%. Of course, a bit of middling reviews. Ooh, yes, Two Cows. That's the one I went to all the time, too. It was like spelled T-U cows, right, or something. But if you like the Alien movies, you should buy this. For everyone else, there's always Quake. This was not a 3D game. It's sort of funny because they were hyping up. Two cows. There we go. They were hyping up Blood earlier here in the preview, and then skirting around the fact that it's a 2.5D engine, not a full 3D, versus then Quake, who's full 3D. Now this was very much a Doom style engine, projection style engine that uses flat sprites. You can see here this guy looks extremely flat here. Alien. Something they have succeeded with is having the wonderful atmosphere from the movie, and that's a good point. You have to have a good atmosphere in an Alien game. That kind of is a requirement almost, that you need a good atmosphere, because without that like thick atmosphere in an Alien game, it really loses its thing. Which is why I will never, ever play Alien Isolation. I respect everything about it. It looks amazing. I do not have the heart to play that game. So I know there's a mod that removes the alien, which might be a way for me to play it, because I want to explore the environment. It looks amazing, but no, thank you very much. No, thank you. I know there's a, their VR version of that, I think, and that is a big nope for me there. Never ever. Anyway, Alien Trilogy for me, that's a Jaguar and stuff like that, and a console game above all, not that. Wow, here we go. Here's the first like really horrible game review here, and I'm guessing maybe one of those games that launched poorly. Now, soccer games had a pretty high bar to meet in the 90s, because there was so many of them. Like many of other sport games, there was like a million soccer games. And in this case, there's Kickoff 96, which I think came into be a series later on, and up with 33% out of 100. Nothing for anyone who's ever played real soccer. The world's favorite sport cannot be treated this way. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I used to use a auto downloading just from the browser was asking for trouble. You had to have a redialer. You had to have something that had a download manager that would resume the download or pause it. Otherwise, you were just screwed. Because you set off a huge download and went away for several hours and came back, anything, a blip on the phone line would, of course, stop that download, and then you're starting from scratch. Learn that lesson the hard way multiple times. So, download manager and redial or something that would let you keep going. So, I'd often have a chance to have stuff running all night, mostly because I wasn't paying the phone bill, of course, but my cousin had an interesting thing because his dad worked for a company that paid for his internet. And the way they worked that out is that you dial into their switchboard and the switchboard dialed back. And because they initiated the call, they paid for every minute. So he got free internet. That was to provide him remote access from home so he could work from home sometimes. It was that kind of work. It was an accounting firm. And so my cousin was always gloating about that, being able to, I have free internet. I mean, he still had to use the phone line, right? And it consumed the line. But he had not have to pay anything, so he could run it all overnight if he wanted to download for free. So, I mean, his dad's company was paying for it, but they didn't care because it was like a drop in the bucket for that accounting firm. So, yeah, we did have local numbers for sure as well. I can't remember the providers here or that were in Sweden, but AOL had no presence there really. It was America Online after all. All the presence from the internet providers there were basically just like, there was no service around it. It was just you dialed up and that was it. So, and that serial was the one that was supposed to be free, right? And that's why it was so terrible. Here we go. And we got a mixture of games here now. We have the expansion pack for the Plutonium pack for the Duke Nukem 3D, which I think the Plutonium pack was just the full bundle with the expansion stuff, right? New levels for Duke Nukem 3D, Duke Nukem, so you get included. They look like real places. What do you expect? Was the Plutonium pack the one that bundled? Or was it? Yeah, what's included? Let's see. Yeah, we have everything's included. We have 11 new levels assigned by 3D Realms with a lot of new graphics. One new weapon, the microwave gun. 2 new enemies, a pig cop in a tank, very powerful, and an alien. 2 new animated episodes, one in the beginning, one in the end. New music for all 11 levels. A new alien boss, the Queen. Many new Duke comments. 2 new Duke 3D pictures for Windows 95, Duke Nukem 3D screensaver and entertainment pack, and access to 10 the total entertainment. There you go. So, Plutonium pack. And that's kind of the thing too. We have unlimited internet today too, but if you don't have unlimited data cap, it doesn't matter. You're gonna hit that limit. So, oh my goodness, it loaded all on dial-up and on the fly. That is actually quite impressive. I mean, that's a 3D heavy game. We're talking about the top-down Phantom Menace, right? Like hack and slash top-down, I assume. That's actually pretty impressive. Yeah, expansion pack for Duke Nukem 3D. I can't remember if this one included the base game and that, or if it's just the expansion pack. But I mean, it's Duke Nukem 3D. More levels of Duke Nukem 3D was welcome in this era here for sure. And that was the kind of thing that happened. There was a lot of bundles, expansion packs that were more or less compiling stuff that you found online were for people that didn't have access to internet or had poor internet. You know? Ashes to Ashes, I think that's on the demo disc here. It looks like it's a terrible review. And it's funny, when they don't want to say much about a game, this is the text. Picture, picture, text, and that's it, right? They're saying how it's pretty terrible first-person shooter, so maybe we have to check it out because of that. It's on a demo disc, so that might be one we can try out just because we can. I don't remember this one at all. And there were so many small games that came and went around this time period, right? They came and disappeared in a flash because they never got a following, or they were just terrible games. So, getting to some other random games here. I do remember that one, Necrodome. U.S. Navy Fighters 97. There was, of course, a lot of U.S. Navy Fighter games, too. This is probably a Jane game, I'm guessing. Maybe not. I don't remember anything about it, but, you know, there was a lot of flight sims. If you think about how many PC games. Now, I know we got a million PC games coming out every year, too. Many good ones, many indie games, many bad ones. But my goodness, the gold rush of PC gaming in the 95 to 2000 was just nuts. So many games coming out. It was crazy. Like I mentioned before, too, I was crazy about RTSs. And for a while, I was buying every real-time strategy game that came out because there weren't that many. But after a while, I couldn't keep up. They were coming out faster than I could buy them. I was wanting to buy every bundle or extra pack for Warcraft 2 and Command & Conquer, and they were coming out faster than I could buy them. And that's just was, it just changed at that point. There was, the supply was exceeding the demand in some levels because it wasn't that hard and expensive to press a CD. And so there was a lot of these bundlings where, they took shareware maps or online maps and crammed them on a CD and called it good, right? So we're going to start going through these reviews a little faster so we can get to the demo CD here eventually. We can play some games tonight, too. Necrodome, I do remember that one. It's a Swedish distributor not determined, which means you probably couldn't even buy this game in Sweden yet. But yeah, it looks like a hover car kind of game, or a vehicle racer game, or vehicle combat game. A a good attempt to make to add to a often overlooked genre. Unfortunately, the game's design is not living up to what the promise is. So it looks like a quarantine kind of game, that kind of vehicular combat or whatever. Yeah, and then, we pay extra for unlimited now, too, both on our internet and our phones. There's just no way around it since we have children stream and use internet all the time, and they have phones. So, yeah, we just don't have a choice. We have to have unlimited, so. And I really wish we could get fiber here. Now, knock on wood, I know I'm jinxing it, but so far, the last few weeks, stream has held up without really any blips, so maybe they fixed the stuff in the neighborhood now. Google Fiber is coming here. Oh, Derek, you probably know that too. They're coming to one part of town here. I'm excited that maybe eventually we'll get it here too. I certainly have signed up for the interest area. I'm not sure where you live, Derek, if you have any fiber options, but where I live, it's one cable provider and that's it. No other providers will come to this address. So that's thanks. Because where I live, this neighborhood was established 2006-ish. And of course, they put down cable for the cable provider here. The new neighborhood, further up here next to me, which is literally, I can like walk up there in like 5 minutes or less. They have gigabit fiber. So I have a friend who lives up the hill. He has gigabit up and down. Like, oh, you're on CenturyLink fiber? Dang. I just have Cox here and that's it. No other option. If I go to select CenturyLink, the highest speed I can get down is like 1.5 because it's DSL only here. So, so that's sad. Yeah. So I know that they're gonna keep expanding, but it's not very conducive for a fiber provider to go in and put new line down in an existing neighborhood, right? It's expensive to do that. But Allo, the way they do it, I think, is that they run fiber and then they use the last leg as like wireless or something like that. But you still get good speed. So we'll see. I'm looking forward to more options, I'm hoping. But the fact that Google Fiber is coming to our neighborhood, or not neighborhood, our city, one part of the city is a good sign. And Google, of course, have a high interest in getting that. We have a Google data center here, too. Pretty close too, so that's in their best interest to increase the availability. So, but yeah, Necrodome looks like a pretty generic game. So, Virtua Cop on the PC. I don't remember that they had a PC prop. Penetrating. Okay, anyway, get your favorite light gun out of the closet. Virtua Cop is here. Virtua Cop looks good. It is a playable game. It's fun. It's unfortunately really short, and that's a sad part. Because, I mean, it's an arcade game at its core, and it was not meant to be a longevity game. I don't think any of these shooter games are going to be that long, so I assume you can play with the mouse or something. It is on the CD, so we can try it. Let's maybe try Virtua Cop tonight. It is on the CD. Yeah, it sure is, so we'll try it. Let's see how it plays. But yeah, there was a light gun. I'm pretty sure. I gotta look it up, but I'm pretty sure there were serial port light guns. I'm fairly certain. I could be wrong, but I'm fairly certain. Oh wow, that stinks, Doppler. Sorry to hear that. So you had fiber. Comcast document. Oh, that's the thing. It's like cable has kind of run its course. You can't get any more power. We pay for the top tier here, and it's expensive as hell. And we have gigabit down, which is fine. I mean, that's great. But we have 100 meg up. And that we're paying through the nose for that to get that service. Because we need that with 3 kids that watch services all the time. Their games, their downloads, and everything. We pay for unlimited too. And it's really expensive. Compared then to my friend who has CenturyLink fiber up the hill. And he pays a third of what we do. And he has gig up and down. Like, I would love fiber here as a content creator. Having gigabit up would be amazing. Because uploading a video takes a long time. So... then again, having 100 megabit up is pretty good too. That's true. I should have turned on. I should have a fan handy for that. Couldn't I? Power chess. It's a chess game. Sweet. Yeah. Yeah, we don't have a choice. We pay for the unlimited. We have unlimited data cap, but that adds even more. I'm paying more than twice that, Bruce. So yeah. Yeah, there you go. I mean, symmetrical. That's the thing. It's like you only need a few hundred gig, I think, down to accommodate most streaming. We have 3 kids in this household, and they all in the streaming age right now, including 2 of them that play online games all the time. So we don't have much of a choice. We got to pay for that. We're getting to management games. There's a lot of sports management games, at least in Europe. There were. I'm not sure how it was in the US, but there was a ton of sports management games. It was really popular. I think that was a UK thing. It feels like that's a popular thing there. Soccer or football, sorry. Grand Prix Manager here and different like sports management games. I never played this one. Some of these games can get ridiculously complicated. What I do love with this kind of stuff is in this case here, you can watch the race from a top-down view. That looks really cool. I don't know why, but this reminds me of skid marks or something like that on Amiga. It's the idea. It feels like it. So, wow, that sounds amazing, Derek. And I hate you a little bit. Not so much, but no, it's fine. I really wish they can come in here and do that, but yeah, receive us whenever they do. Yeah, there you go. That's a cool idea to do too, Doppler. Fortunately, we built this house here in 2017, and all the phone wire was Cat 5e. So I came after the fact, and then I've been replacing the ends with Ethernet, right? And now I have Ethernet across my entire house, including also what I did. Listening. When before they put the drywall on, when they signed off on the electrical, I actually came in after the fact and ran a couple extra Ethernet wires. Don't tell anyone. But I just ran it along where they'd already run other cables, so I just was able to snake through. For example, where our main TV is on the main floor, I wanted to be able to hardwire that. What I did then is I basically went there, took Ethernet, and I ran it with the coax down to the furnace room where the cable all came in. So I ran a few extra cables. They were the same color, and I just laid the cable there in the cable outlet or whatever before the drywall went on. And that made it very easy to run it. But I was standing here in the rafters in the heat of summer, no air conditioning, it was just bare bone down here, no drywall, anything. I'm running cables for hours after hours. I had a little lantern to see anything. I figured I'm buying this house, so I can do it. And of course, now no one ever complained because the electricity was already signed off on. And I literally just ran 3 extra Ethernet wires there. So I just wanted to have more wiring in the basement. So Lost File of Sherlock Holmes, Case of the Rose Tattoo. It looks like a typical point-and-click adventure game. I don't think I've played with this. It's surprisingly good, despite the very bad box. Remember that one. There's a very long name on that computer game. So yeah, a lot of stuff to examine, I'm sure. It's one of those hunt the pixel stuff, I'm sure. And here, of course, is the main feature. It is Diablo, which is the game of the month. That's almost assumed. Think back to before Diablo was out, as far as action RPGs go. This streamlined it to the nth degree. I remember when Diablo came out, and I bought it. Saw the box behind me. It felt so slick, so streamlined, and it played so well. It was not, difficult to run. It just looked great. Music was great. The presentation was amazing. Easy to play, and super addictive just to keep making those dungeon runs. And it really changed, for me at least, how action RPGs should be played. And it was a trendsetter for me. And also the fact that they did all the 3D pre-render stuff. It was something else. For me, I just destroyed playing nothing but Diablo for months, I think, after this came out when I bought it. So, and also the fact that the cave changes design, right, every time you play it. So, yeah. But yeah, fantastic game. Not much to say about Diablo. 91%. Diablo is a very good game with good graphics and sound. Buy it. You will not regret it. That's what to say. And the same about the multiplayer and everything. It is just a fantastic game. Of course, a dark screenshot there. Extremely dark. Hard to see what it shows, but yeah. There's not much to say about Diablo, but it was a great game when it came out. And it still is a great game. Leisure Suit Larry 7, 25%. A chauvinistic, I won't cover that. That's actually nudity right there. A chauvinistic game where names are boring and the jokes are boring. So yeah. If you like, yeah. It's not just, manly, it's, chauvinistic or whatever. So, yeah, it's they're trying to basically distance themselves from, I mean, everyone knows what Leisure Suit Larry is. It is what it is. It's not highbrow humor here, but it's pretty outplayed at that point. Ooh, here we go. Look at this. Preview spring 1997. Which games are we gonna see here soon? Which ones have we played and which ones did come out? So this, I love these things too to look back at to see. We have MDK, of course. That changed away from being Murder, Death, Kill. They changed it to MDK because that was very hard to get through censorships in some countries, I think. So it's just MDK. We have Safecracker. I don't remember that one. Off-Road by Microprose. I don't remember that one if that came out. Slam Tilt. That's a pinball game. I think that one came out. Blast Chamber. That, I think, is a puzzle game. We have Sega Rally, of course. That did come out. Dark Rain. That did come out for sure. That was, of course, a... But the interface, it looks very early. I don't recognize that interface at all. But Dark Rain came out in 1997, I think. Later on. So... that's what they're talking about, the games. The Theme Hospital came out as well. That is a great game. We should stream that sometime, too. I'm very sad because I don't have the big box anymore for that, and that's very collectible now, and it's expensive. I'm really bummed about that because I did play that game quite a bit. Never got that far because it's hard, but it is a great game. It's a great strategy game, very bullfroggy, right? So, I swear we'll get to the demos here shortly. We've been reading magazine for a long time now, so we're going to speed through these here. Exhumed, another good first-person shooter we'll have to play sometime. The Crow. Euro Manager, another management baseball or soccer game, of course. There's so many of those. There's Grand Theft Auto, of course. Iron and Blood, I don't recognize that at all. XCOM Apocalypse, which was a interesting one that kind of... It didn't feel as good as XCOM 1 and 2. It just had a very weird feel to it. It feels like almost like a Flash game in some of the graphics. We'll probably stream it at some point, but it just didn't... I don't know. It never jived with me the way 1 and 2 did. Evening Johnny Gong again. We have just been working our way through the magazine. We're almost at the end here now. We're going to start playing some... I'm sure we missed a fart speed word here somewhere. We're going to get to the actual games here soon on the demo disc. There we go. Conquest Earth. I remember playing a demo of that. Death Rep Dungeon. Extreme Assault. Those are good. Ecstatica 2. That was a hard game. Ecstatica 1 and 2. But Shadow Warrior. There's a preview for that, which came out after Blood, I think. So, yeah, there's a lot of these preview games that are... They're trying to duplicate what was popular. Like, here's a lot more of these mech fighter games. They're probably a lot of them. There's their Aqua Talk, Steel Legions, Armored Fist 2. That's, of course, a tank game, but there were so many games that you never heard again from after they tried to, break into the market. They just kind of, that was it. They disappeared. So, let's see. We're Marvel 2099. That looks like X-Men versus Capcom or something like that, right? Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2, of course, a great game that came out later here. But yeah, X-Men versus TIE Fighter as well. Fantastic one. Boogerman in here. So, Hooters. This is a car game in 3D. Kind of a Micro Machines 3 game. Hooters is not something I would associate with a Micro Machine style 3D car game, I suppose. But here we are. Into the Shadows. I don't recognize that. Theater of Pain looks like a fighting game. There's so many of these games that came out that just... War Gods? That looks like another fighting game, right? Yeah. Mortal Kombat, similar 3D game, yeah. So yeah, there's that. Ecstatica was really interesting because they used spheres for its 3D models. And that's why the characters, I think, right? I think I remember that, right? It uses spheres for the skeletal construction of the characters, so. MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries. I do think I have the box for that. But that came out after MechWarrior 2, of course, being very popular. And it's more about a strategy and keeping your squad running and everything. I haven't played it much, but this is a guide, the second in a series on how to play it well. And just tips and tricks on how to play it. And that was something that, overheat every time. Something that was good back in the day because you may not have, can find a guide online, and having a magazine feature your favorite game was pretty awesome. Yep, here we go. Here's some cheats. And there's random cheats in games, such as like the Fun Park in Command & Conquer that gets you dinosaurs, I think. Strife, game we definitely stream at some point too. It's all a trendsetter. Quake cheats, Hexon cheats, Sim Isle, things like that. It's just a cheat guide basically. They had every And here's something that was very useful if you were playing these kind of games. Here's a guide to the point-and-click adventure game Toonstruck. You could get really stuck on some of these really obtuse things. Being able to get a guide like this, I think that's the only way I got through Simon Sorcerer 2, for example, was a guide in a magazine, because I got completely stuck on that. We'll maybe play that game sometime and see if we get to that point. But the digital Christopher Lloyd here. A game I really would like to own as well, but has become a collectible like many of these games. It was a very interesting... We did play the demo of it, I think, last year, actually. I think we did the demo for this one specifically because it was on a demo disc. Yeah, that's how to play the game, how to get through it, all that stuff. And here we get to more of these random... yeah, up, down, down. Right, let's select start. Yep. More of these random retailers. You see they look almost exactly the same because they're all these random just resellers. We also sell used games. Here's something fun. The internet. So here's the recommendations for different websites, right? So here we have the Ultimate Video Games Review, thebigu.com, Tim's Clubhouse, http://eatersworld.com/timepage.html. You have to pull that in exactly. Here's The Realm from Sierra, 205.185.62.1. I didn't have DNS entry for it. That was not a guarantee, especially with fan sites. They might have just had a freaking IP, or the address was terrible. Yeah, here we go. For example, here's the PC Webopedia, right? Something that should be simple, but the website address is http://www.sandybay.com/pc-web/index.html. You had to do it like that. Yeah. You, like, it was so like a thing of this era, right? How internet hadn't kind of butted yet. You're right, Brian, is that they didn't know what this was going to do. And here it was just like, oh, cool. I can find, more about the game I'm playing, or in the case of like Total Annihilation, right? You could download new units, stuff like that was awesome. But it wasn't that you would go there for everything the magazine provided. The magazines were crazy at this point still. Yeah, Microsoft.com/games. The only net guide you need. So here's a recommendation for all the game manufacturers, like id Software, Infogrames, Interplay, Millennium, Origin, Nova Logic, Origin, rip on those guys. But it was handy to find internet sites you may not be aware of or didn't know about. That's a pretty cool place to find them. So, including more here. Let's see: Probe, Presto, Virgin, Williams, Westwood Studios, of course, Team 17. Ravensoft. Welcome to Westwood. Click here to detonate. I remember that website. They had a click there and exploded because it was cool. Playmates. Yeah. Of course, Swedish Masters, Swedish Championship, and Diablo. That's the thing. Yeah. So they're talking about their different publications of this particular Boss special magazines that they had done, which was PC and Mac was kind of like a, home computer user magazine. You had CD-ROM, which specifically for CD-ROM and the multimedia, very multimedia heavy, like it was in this era. PC Guide was definitely for home users, how to use a computer. This was more like buyer's guide and stuff like that. And of course, with PC Gamer, it was very much around what they could do for PC gaming. JP Games, I definitely ordered console games from them, and you can see they were here. You could buy a brand new game then. 340 kroner, so you could buy then Diablo with the adjusted for inflation for about $30 or so at the time, which is what games cost back then, but of course they cost more now. Well, here's Duke Nukem 3D for 279 kroner. I would take that in a heartbeat now because that's a game for some reason that's really expensive. I don't know why. They printed many of them, but here we are. It was fun to look back and see what things costed. Almost what they cost. We're almost at the end. Oh my. Yeah, there we go. Letter to the editor, and they're complaining about how that's kind of tasteless, and here we are. Ready and Alert. So this is a unlicensed expansion then for Red Alert or Command & Conquer, and Command and Craft. And this was it was just a shareware collection. They just took all these things. Just to reference for anyone watching this from as far as Spencer perspective, she's wearing clothes, just less clothes. There we go. You buy these expansion packs that basically were just bundles of downloaded levels, and over 1,000 new levels for Red Alert. Were the quality high on those? Probably not. They just went to random sites and downloaded everything they could and crammed that on a CD and release it. Which, I mean, it was a fair strategy because it would take you weeks to download that much, probably. So, but all of them here, we all need extra speed. Command and Craft, Actionware. It's a shareware compilation packs, basically. All right. Next number, which we'll cover, I guess, in a year. 18th of March. Here's some Automatic 3, Harpoon Classic, MDK. This fall, all hell breaks loose. Blizzard Games. Yeah. 10,000 games. Tandy's Computer City. Not associated with a Tandy computer. Well, it might be. No, I think there's a different Tandy. Yeah. Welcome to Tandy's Computer City and check out our shelves. The space. They even like have little things like, yeah, this was the game of the month on PC Gamer 197, which we've already gone through, but yeah. Computer City Supercenter in Sweden. And I think I remember going there quite a bit, and that was a great place too. And there's so many of those stores that are gone now. But it was a period, a product of the era, I should say. But yeah, that's the Swedish PC Gamer in February of 1997. So, of course, very period correct. And there are so many games from this period that are awesome and cool. And they still are around. They're still classics. So let's try and explore some of these games on this demo disc. So give me a second. I'm going to shift my camera around a little bit here. So I'm going to mute my microphone as I shift over. That way we are not listening to me booming around with the microphone. So give me 1 second. Okay. The reason I do that is mostly so that you don't have to sit there. You can hear my boom arm squeaking and clicking and who knows what, so you don't have to listen to that. But so we're now on, let me double check that the spec thing is correct as well. Yep, it is. So we're on the Pentium 166 because it's period accurate to this machine era. One thing we do have now, actually, which is brand new, which I just picked up, and I'll actually use the action camera. Let me go back to the action cam. Never mind, we'll go right back to it. I'm going to show something here. Pardon the craziness, but that... Where's the autofocus? Come on. It is autofocusing. This is a Roland MT200 that I just got today. So that means we now have MIDI. So you see my mixer board up here. It does not like focusing on that. Autofocus, there we go. That is a Roland MT200, which is basically a MIDI module that's more designed for piano use and like recording stuff. However, it also is basically an SC55. So we now have real, yeah, that's a floppy drive here. You can play, you can actually play MIDI files off the floppy. And it's meant for you to be able to use a MIDI controller to record MIDI directly to it. So that's a neat party trick. But it means for our purposes, we now have an SC55 hooked up and we can do actual real sound canvas and MIDI music for our enjoyment. I know we've done that through emulation before, but now we can do it through hard. Yeah, I have the 2.1 here. So I have the one, I found it actually at one of those Goodbyte store, right? That's where they had it pretty cheap for like $10 or something. And I grabbed that. And it's like, I think everyone had at some point or another, like those Boston speakers of some variety, or the Cambridge Creative Works or whatever. Yes, I will do that. So maybe someone can refresh my memory, because I can't, when I do this here, I thought that doing this in the MIDI settings here in Windows, setting this to the external MIDI port, and then you play that, it would use the external MIDI. That's what I would expect, right? However, when you do that, it doesn't actually use it, and I'm not entirely sure why. And there might be some other configuration in the... Because if I play this now... I don't think I get anything. Yeah, nothing. Not even playing anything at all. So, yeah. But if I set it then to the... Probably the default one. Yeah, now it plays. So let me try... This is the external MIDI port again. Oh, I think I know. Actually, never mind. I remember now. It was muted. Turn up a little bit. Yeah, you're listening now to the real SC55 emulation mode, which I can actually turn down. Whoop! See, there's a volume slider on the device. So yeah, I forgot every time on reboot, it disables the line-in. And that's what's happening now. I'm actually piping it, right? I can be. Duke Nukem 3D theme sounds amazing, too, on this here. Which, unfortunately, the MIDI setup, I can try it again, but when I ran it inside of... Maybe not. I ran it from Windows. I didn't like it. We can try it again quick. See, I have it on here, and we'll get to the demo of this, but I just want to show because I'm excited to actually have a real hardware MIDI module here now for our enjoyment for streaming. Go to games. I think it might have just crashed when I did it from here, maybe not. Go to setup. Loud. Well, actually, I don't... Yeah, it doesn't work for some reason. When you're using this here, it doesn't auto redirect it to the port. So I'm not sure what's going on there, actually. It's just using the default one. Yeah, you can. The intent is that you can do MIDI stream. It's designed as a recording device. Now, this works great at DOS, so I'm not going to mess with it here, honestly. It's just probably the redirect happening. Why is this loud now? I lean in because I can't see the mixer board. I'm still trying to figure out how to set things here. But yes, this is designed as a recording device, not as a computer MIDI playback device. It's distinctly designed for that. You can record, you can edit, and do a whole bunch of stuff on this thing directly. It's a piano-tutored kind of device. So the idea being you plug in a keyboard, and then you can record everything directly to floppy if you wanted to, and bring it to your computer and edit it. So it's designed around that. But I'm, of course, using it as an SC55, because why not? So, but inside of DOS, it works fine. And we'll get to DOS eventually here and mess with it, but we're going to see... Actually, I think Terminator Skynet is probably DOS directly. So let's just go into DOS. We'll start with DOS. And then we will test the MIDI module real quick. I'll show you how it sounds inside of Duke 3D, which is amazing. We have emulated this before, but to be able to use an actual MIDI device like this directly inside or for streams and stuff is awesome. Now, I might still get an SC55 at some point because they look cooler. This one is awesome. I got it today. But it's also huge. You saw the footprint on my desk is massive. And the wedge shape makes it interesting. But the price was right. I got it from a fellow collector that was kind of shedding some of his stuff. So the price was more than fair. And I definitely can get use out of it. Especially using it as a jukebox. You can literally take any MIDI track and put it on the floppy and plop it in and just play directly from there. Which I think is pretty awesome. I am going to route it so that I can record from that directly. Without having to worry about... messing with going through a computer. I'm going to route it so that I can record directly in OBS if I want to capture the MIDI only. Aha. I don't get it. So I got to recalibrate my setup here now because I'm moving around. So now what we have to do is enable soft MPU, otherwise it wouldn't be able to do this. So I do have that set up already. It actually starts soft MPU to redirect it, because otherwise it wouldn't know to go out through the Sound Blaster to do this. So now if we go Duke 3D now, and then we play the, which is very quiet, so I gotta do this. There's the glorious sound of the Duke theme using the SC55 instruction set. And the general MIDI capabilities of the sound canvas or the SC55, it really is so well made. I mean, a lot of these games were composed on this device. You know, I know that a lot of the Doom stuff was designed with the SC55 in mind. That's how they composed it, and they kind of changed it to fit the sound card. But it sounds great. It's so good for these late era DOS games. If you want like MIDI device, you know, 92, 93 to 2000, you're pretty much dealing with the SC55 or something equivalent. I would like to get the Yamaha XG one as well. That would sound great on that laptop we messed with that time, right? But anyway, that is Duke 3D with the... I will do one more because I just want to. Let's do setup first to make sure it's set up correctly. Music card. Sound canvas. We will specify it explicitly. And this one you have to get into the game. It's the quintessential MIDI. It is funny a little bit too, because the SC55 sounds really good, but I think it's turned almost blasé because it's the one that everyone gets. I'm just excited to have one with this instruction set in my stable here now. We're playing directly with it, right? Because I can turn on the volume on the device, and it's muted, so I know it's using it. And it sounds just fantastic, and it's like... it probably does something that's a sound alike. That's always been a little iffy, because what people do, I think, is that they record the stuff off a real sound canvas, and then they make that into a sound font, right? A lot of the sound fonts in Windows are based on the SC55, I think, for MIDI. So, for the Microsoft stuff. But yeah, all these games sound amazing on this device. Doom, Descent, Duke 3D, you know, anything that supports Transport Tycoon. We got it. I'm sorry, I'm going on a tangent here now, but we got to check out Transport Tycoon real quick. I just got this today. I literally set this up like an hour before we stream now, so I haven't messed with it too much. 225, 1, sure. And then, let's see, sound canvas right there. Does it work or crash? Crashes. Wait, I probably had the wrong sound setup. Now we're doing a detour into crash land here for no real reason, so yeah, there's the 32X, the what is it called, resurrected or whatever, which is fantastic. We streamed that a little bit. All right, we'll mess with this later. I have a hard reboot now. See, I broke it. The updated version for 32X is just amazing. The one that you can play with the Doom, and it's highly recommended over the default Doom version. They have just added features to it. I think, yeah, it includes the additional sound for the CD there. Yep, that's the thing too, is the SC55 and those kind of things sound amazing, but it's not nostalgic always, because that's not what we had, right? It's something we aspired to get. But as a kid, I had just, yeah, a Vibra 16. You know, that's what you had. You had to deal with that. And it's not like you could just play that. So not always is nostalgic. That's why sometimes it's fun to do the blaring of the just poor emulation of Sound Blaster compatibility, right? It's nostalgic. Just an OEM integrated modem card, right? So, yep, that's the thing. There's no protected operating system there going on. Okay. So, I think I'm going to do this. I'm going to create a new folder called Demo. That way we have somewhere to dump all these demos to. Let's see if there's a DOS menu here. Pardon? Games.bat. Let's try that. Ooh. Fancy. There we go. Now we're in the actual thing. So, PC Gamer, the rendering and everything. PC Gamer, gaming with the gaming magazine with the most games ever. So these are the games that are DOS then that you install from here. So we'll try a couple and then we'll go back to Windows. Utilities, Display Doctor, Shareware, Stargunner. And here's something that was really useful and something that they often bundled patches for popular games and they were publicly available. But being able to have them directly on a disc like this, it was cool to pop through and see like, oh, there's an update for the game I played. If it's born running fine, maybe you didn't need it, but otherwise it would be a really cool way to get these updates. And they kind of filled out the discs this way. So, additional files, WADs, 5 new loads for Doom 2, for example. Let's go to home. There we go. But let's do Terminator Skynet. The run install disk. Are you going to get a chance to select the folder? Nope. Nope. Wonder where that dropped at. Unzip? Oh, there we go. Uh-huh. Did I call it demo or demos? It was demo, right? Find out. Here's the CD spinning up. PK unzip. The day my friend and I figured out how to use PK unzip to compress over the more than one floppy, we felt like kings. And we're now to figure out how to copy games and files to each other's computers. Before that, we couldn't figure out how to span multiple disks. We couldn't figure out how to compress it with PKZip. We could not figure out how to span multiple disks. So every time we compress something, it had to be less than 1.4 4 megabytes or even less. And the day we figured out how to span it, we were just like, oh my god. And then we started copying every game we had basically onto each other's computers because we had different OEM pre-installed games, right? So, yeah. And that was, yep, you're probably right. It was the span. I forgot it now because you're so used to that now, but it was a revelation. Like we felt like the world was our oyster. So, let's install Alien Trilogy 2. I'm curious to see how that run/install. I'm pretty sure I have more than 8 megabytes of RAM. Thank you very much. Oh, it's just where to disinstall. We might do it the hard way then. All right, so back to C. Yeah, there we go. There's Skynet. That's what we set up. Yep. Let's see how fast we can run. Let's see. Auto detect. Ooh, we can do. Look at that. Oh yeah. It supports the sound canvas. This sounds way better than it should. Has any right to. It's amazing. Yes, I did that too with parallel ports. I had a no modem cable between 2 computers. I would copy stuff. It would take 4. Oh, it's amazing. Let's see what it sounds like with. That's almost as good. It's almost as good. The trumpet's coming in now. Let's see. I think we have. Does it have the instruction set for that here? Oh yeah, there's the RW64 32's instruction set, which sounds even cooler, but it sounds good, but not everyone is a fan of the AW32 emulation on the AW64, because it does sound pretty tinny to me, and it's got a very unique sound, and it's not everyone's liking, right? I think it sounds good, but it's not always superior to what you'd find on the other devices. So yeah, gravis ultrasound. We're gonna mess with that at some point. I really want to mess with this. Really want to do the Pico Gus so we can do this stuff, the gravis ultrasound. We need to mess with that too. And I'm almost tempted to like get a dedicated machine to mess with that, so I don't mess with anything else. But all right, what's the vote here now in this particular game? I'm getting off track now. Do we want Soundmaster 16, Sound Canvas, or AW32? Anyone have any preferences there? Now, they all sound cool in their own unique way, to say the least. So the MIDI one was, to be honest, something else there. It sounded really, really good. And that's the thing. I want to explore. What we'll probably do now, at some point, maybe we'll just do a stream where we just go through games that use this. I'll try and find unexpected games that use the sound canvas. And it's fun to pick the sound canvas specifically now, because it is the sound canvas. It's SC55 in all but name. It's not designed as that, but it has the entire instruction set, so... You must have been just a king if you had a mini device to play games on. I feel like you probably more likely than not would have had maybe a musician that tried it. I can't imagine many gamers would have picked that kind of thing to buy, you know? It would have been expensive.
HMI Module Alpha Humana on approach to Space Station Mercury.
That was good, but it was a little loud. Has to do with... Is there a PC speaker? No, I don't think so. Boy, they support a lot. Sound Galaxy NX Pro. Reveal ARIA chipset. The Thunderboard. Hey, the Thunderboard is explicitly supported. Look at that. We have the Thunderboard. We did the stream with that, and I did a video on it and everything, so... Anyway. I think that Bethesda, when they made this game, I think this is a Bethesda game, right? They tried to be very forward-looking. So now we have Skynet then. Let's see if it actually can play the game. Yeah, that's true. As long as it had the instruction set and everything. So, scanner for joystick has failed. Low. Yeah, it's using the MIDI. Yeah, I feel like many people, when they get a MIDI device, are not gonna re-explore all their favorite games to see what it sounds like. There's a lot of games that use MIDI music, so... Terminator 7. Strike Back of Copy Strike. Producer, Todd Howard. Story and game design, Todd Howard. Yes, that is the Bethesda Todd Howard, and now leads the company, basically. But yeah, you put this in perspective, 1997, when you may not have had CD audio in a game. That sounds really good. Controls. Let's see if we can do a rebind and everything. Slide. Oh, it actually did not. Okay. X on that. Mouse control. We'll try that and see what happens. Oh, I have the same key assigned. Oops, Daisy. S, jump. Can we do space for that? Activated space. Let's do E there. This is gonna go great. There we go. Scout out the robot complex to the west. Reports have shown several convoys moving in and out there. Return to base once you have discovered anything out of the ordinary. Got it. Tactical. Good. Hunter killer is like what you're going to run into. Sticks. Oh. I feel like it's a little loud. Look at that. Full 3D stuff. This was really ahead of his time. Up. Plays actually really well. Get some. It's still really loud. You can see the beginnings here, like the engine feels very like Daggerfall and stuff, right? Oh, hi. Was that the Quake guy? Or the Doom guys? Sure was. Activate anything? This would have made a good impression on me if I played a demo. I don't think I ever did, but... Yeah, plays really well. Very smooth on this machine, too. Well, of course, I need to stream Daggerfall. Why is it so flippin' loud? Can you change that here? Yeah. That's better. My goodness. Yeah, very much has a vibe of the Daggerfall engine, so that makes sense. They haven't even grown to full size.
Complex HQ, searching for a way inside.
It's an extremely ambitious game. I know it's been covered a lot, but the things they crammed into this one, I'm guessing it's the entire first mission then, probably. Take that, Starfield. Oh, ow, who's shooting me? This is the Doom guy's sound. Oh, there it is. That blew up easier than I thought it would. I don't know what to promise. This one-man soldier here, or this one-man army barely can take up the freaking whole... Take all of them on. Assault rifle. I have that with shotgun. Jeez, that's a strong shotgun. That is great for its zero. The low resolution is just plays into it so well. I feel like the Terminator Resistance that came out not too long ago was open. into the building? Good question. Even left the shell there. Shotgun shells in the bathroom. This is surprisingly advanced, so... Oh. Even at low settings now, it's definitely struggling a little bit when we're getting into these open areas, but... I would play the heck out of this. Oh, wow. Radiation. Don't go in the hole, apparently. Whoops, those turrets look bad. Whoop. Now, I watched videos on this, and it's an extremely, you know, advanced game for the era. I think their ambition was through the roof, really. Do to me. Oh, those turrets out there. Yep. I can't believe they just added to Doom guys. Ammo box. These robots were leaving a lot of like ammo laying around for no reason. The rendering distance isn't very high either, but it'll be fun to re-explore this game with full resolution or like higher resolution and a more powerful computer.
Looks like this truck is moving.
That's convenient. Robots don't guard these things very well. Well, this is a pretty good chunk of the game, I assume, in the entire first level, so... I'll check out what else is on there, but I want to try the Alien Trilogy by comparison. Does make me want to play Daggerfall, though, wouldn't it?
I'm inside the complex.
Power armor. I mean, you can see all the E800. Not so bad to destroy. I don't know what the big deal is. Playing on easy, but you just shot your way in if you're just gonna. A lot of enemies here. Ow, ow. Oh. You've been terminated. Lasers. Yeah, this feels very, very... Look, I can go in the building, too. Now we're in System Shock. Sending a one-man army, I guess. Well, he's doing a pretty good job of it. Take that, servers. You haven't paid your hosting rent. Guess all done. Ow. That robot was mean. destructible stuff and... Oh. You have a Robocop gun? He has the Robocop gun. A laser gun? Machine gun? Oh my goodness. It's even louder. Really? Like destructible environments, and I'm just genuinely impressed by this game. I think I ought to... anything to do here? It's not. I think I had a, Pentium 100 at the time, so I don't think I would have been able to play this game as smooth as we are now with our Overdrive 166, but... Still, this is quite impressive. I do have a machine gun now, though. It was shooting me from high up. There it is. Bye. The baby A10. Ball HQ, I blew everything up in here by myself without just sending any support in. Well, that excellent music is playing. Like remixed. This here. Looks important. Can I break it? No. Oh, ow. Nice. Aren't gonna play this much longer, but I'm just genuinely impressed by this. Bloom. The 800s aren't so bad to destroy. You can tell this game is one that's limited or restricted by the era. They wanted more, but this is all they could do at the time. But it's like the ideas are here. They're crazy. It's very system shocky, except less like, world interacting or whatever. That's not fair. It's a freaking tight hallway here. Who shot me? That guy had to poke me. I opened the monster corridor there. Laser gun. Oh! Ow, 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 ow! Wow. Well, that was going good while it was. I'm not gonna restart the mission. That was great until I horrifically died at the hand of these, simple worker robots, see? It's not the walking murder machine that's gonna get you, it's the little industrial robots. I got stuck between both of them and just kind of jabbed me to death. Overdrive sounded good, right? Sounded cool. But yeah, that's a great use of the MIDI. Skynet coming soon in mid-November 1996. Reserve your local copy. I mean, local retailer. 8 intense solo missions. Full motion video missions briefings. 17 deadly weapons. 30 3D robots. SVGA support. Yeah, that's hecka impressive. And then Future Shock also is the second one in the series, but yeah, I feel like I need to get those now. That's really good. Let's see if we can get Alien Trilogy to work, because there was something there that was not playing so well. I already forgot what it said. Demos, CD demos. Come on, index. No, this is something specifically. Where are the rest of them laying around? The install directory. He set up. Nope. To find where they would be. Games, I guess. There they are. Alien. Can I install it now? Install. 8 megabytes of RAM or more. We have plenty, but apparently it does not like that. Inst. Nope. That's it. I don't think... I want to check out some of the Windows demos that were on there, but at least the... Oh, goodness. While you're doing the important work and getting all those packages delivered, so appreciated you. But yeah, some of these games are just becoming really hard to find, of course. Or they're very expensive. It's just, you know, that's what it is. Excuse me. I haven't shook whatever this is, but Sega Rally is one, would be one to try. You're probably right. What was going on there? Virtual Cop, I'm going to try that one as well. We'll see what other we have time with here. Have WADs add-ons for Quake, Grand Prix 2, Duke Nukem 3D, Doom 2, Warcraft 2, etc. Yeah, ignore that error. It's been there forever. Probably need to reload this machine, so. My goodness. I guess then you're probably getting into the holiday season now and everyone's ordering stuff. I feel bad. I keep selecting for Amazon. Keep selecting the deliver later, you know. I don't need it anytime soon, so for like Christmas gifts and stuff. I set the later delivery date, which is like a week out, but I don't think it changes much because it just means that the package has to go that day instead, so. Gotta have that sound. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it has too much RAM and it's just kind of wrapping around itself, right? It doesn't know what to do. This is the first game I run into that didn't play nice with that. Alright, first off, I'm going to check. Okay, that's unmuted. Unmuted, good. Now, let's go into this menu here and take a look and see. 32-bit version loading. Would you like to continue? Yes. Shoot. Get started. QuickTime, video for Windows, WinG, DirectX. I think right now it sees it as 80 megabytes of RAM. Yeah, that's fine. Problem there. Demons. So, the demos. Sound is crispy. Sega Rally. Send it up. There we go. Resolution of that image is something. Sega Rally Championship demo. Yeah, Sega. Wow, I have the we'll do demo. Very much. Full. Oh yeah, we got full size here. We got a large hard drive in there. It's an SD card actually, and it's funny because it's just generic SD card adapter just hanging in there, and the SD card, and the machine has been running basically fine the entire time. And I know there's always the concern is that how long do the SD cards last or stuff like that. And I mean, if you don't use a retro computer 24/7, I think it's pretty much fine. It's not gonna explode on itself, and when it does, you can just reload it or at least back it up beforehand. But I have used this machine a lot, and the SD card has been fine pretty much the entire time. One of the cheapest adapters possible, so. Not saying they can't fail, and they haven't failed, but use a good quality SD card, and again, if you use this machine enough for it to break down, then so be it. A little bit, yeah. Space Jam. It's got that thing going for it. There was a time when they were making, Sega PC titles and everything. And funny to think back to them when Sega was still making consoles right at this time too, and they were still launching games on PC. Some of these games were very much console games, like freaking Virtua Fighters. Play that on PC. Then you had a console exclusive that was available on PC. Seems like a weird thing to think back to that time. So, I wonder if my color settings are set real low or this installation just terrible. I don't know what's going on here with the colors, but it's not good. Sega, game over, yeah. That thing cracked me up the first time I heard it. The game over, yeah thing. I wasn't expecting it, and just like blasting when I played Sega Rally. I was like, what the? What? We already have DirectX. Don't install it. Okay. I know it's going to skip it or should, but I'm not liking when games are messing with DirectX. I restart probably because of that, but exit my color depth here. High color, yeah. We do have the Righteous 3D in here, which is the the Voodoo card, right? So looking into action here now, you'll see the little splash screen there. We're now using the Voodoo for 3D rendering, and just to prove that it does actually have a Voodoo card in here. This is for those unfamiliar with this one, the Righteous 3D is the one with the mechanical relay. So when the DGA, the switching happens, because that's what happens, right? It's a bypass card. It bypasses the 2D to go full 3D. It sounds click, click, click. It's a mechanical actual relay, and it's super loud. Actually, when I covered this in, that must have been GPU June like 2 or 3 years ago now. Then I recorded the actual click. I put a microphone right up to the click, and it's super loud. Also very satisfying. So, but yeah, that's the righteous one. So, I wish I had the box for that still, but I do not. Bad, but here we are. Let's see how this plays on this machine. It feels like PC games for this era that were ported always were a little jank. You can tell that, hey, we were basically making the game for console and we ported it, so. Full screen, please. Give me all that you got. That's a frame rate, all right. Was there anything with sound here? Could run on 320 by 240. Try it first.
Sega Rally Championship.
That's loud. That's what the
Sega Rally Championship.
That's still really loud. I thought I'm messing with the right one here, but right, man. Might be a little better there. I can't do anything except arcade. Can't set anything. Okay, maybe. Oh, maybe I just am dumb here. I thought I was changing the capture. I'm not very smart. I don't have any choices here. I just saw it going into the yellow clip zone, and I want to try and avoid it. I'm trying to stay in the green in OBS, and I thought it was going very high there, so should be hopefully better now. Yeah, it's not even using the Voodoo now. It's just software rendering, so we may have to go to 320. Oh.
Three, two.
The go button. Oh, that's not what. Settings. Up arrow. Okay, all right. So it should be up. Bye! It's doing nothing. I have the controls up. Up arrow, down arrow, left arrow. Pretty straightforward, right? I said like the keys, right? Huh. Neat. That looks really nice. Even better if you could play it, but why is it not? Well, that makes sense. Oh, the frame rate is a little rough here. Terrible, yeah. I should have read the thing there, but... Hello, Root. Oh, Root has joined. I think we're gonna have to try 320 by 240 if we're gonna have any good time. See how this goes. There we go. It looks rougher, but I mean... Got a flutter there from the turbo as you're letting go of the gas. Not a good start. Question is how well it run on the Saturn, because I mean, I don't think it's 60 FPS on the Saturn, right? If you FSR this, I don't think there will be anything left of the image. Let me try that one more time when we're not trying like morons. Okay, so it's a, I mean, general ballpark, right? But we can't compare it to a console that's optimized and they know exactly the hardware specs, but many times you have situations where you need a way more powerful than what you had available, so I don't think that was an option.
Sega Rally Championship.
That's the... I think 640 or 320 was the only option, so I didn't see any other options. No, it's not. It's not. It is completely software right now. I don't know if even this is Voodoo supported. It might not be. So that's the thing, is like we're in this era here now where many of the games did not have acceleration, so yeah, the Voodoo would definitely make a big difference, but
2, 1, go, go!
a lot of frame stutter there. I should not look at chat while I'm racing.
Very long, you did right.
It's funny when you do this, like, you know, oh, it's pretty rough or whatever, but then if you're a kid and this is what you had access to, you probably were more than happy to play this.
Very long, you did left.
I don't know that they have 3D acceleration in this one, because this version of... Like, you know, Sega Rally had 3D acceleration on the Saturn and stuff, but it wasn't exactly... I mean, the software mode was the only, quote-unquote, software, like, was the only one available on the Saturn, right? So... I don't know if they gave 3D acceleration to this. I can check, but it might also be that the demo doesn't even have it, so... I mean, many games... I wish I knew what the brake was. They got a few spectators on the way there. Come on. Oh. That was lap 1. I don't think we're going to make it to lap 3 here.
Very long, you did right.
Those sounds, though, you know, if you played Sega Rally in the arcade, they're just so iconic, and like those blasting sounds from the arcade cabinets. Never got very far in Sega Rally in the arcade, so I'm not sure I even... Time is up, yeah. I don't think I'm gonna get further than that, but I'm curious to see if there is 3D. I don't think so, but Sega Rally is still legendary as far as like a racing game, but it's very fun in the arcade. But yeah, I don't think I ever got very far in it. It was just, yeah. Leave the settings. So anything more in here? Change screen, yeah, 320. That's it. Sega Rally help. I need help. Options. You can't even go to options, yeah, because it's the same README for the... Huh. No, it doesn't look like it has any graphical options really beyond... Minimize it. Okay, interesting. So the generic demo that you would have gotten from them directly probably does not have support. Then it was probably bundled specifically. We can take a look in the directory, but I highlight out there's a 3D version in here. Like it. Bang, bang, bang. Doot. All the sound effects for the game. Yeah. I highly doubted this in there. Anyway. So let's try Virtual Cop instead. Setting the thing out. Oh, they launched it twice now. CD menus, telling you. Virtual Cop sample. At least then I know where to go and delete after we're done. Yeah, I don't have a choice unless you gotta get new tires, new tires. Gotta do what you gotta do. We have a Subaru WX for a daily driver and put Blizzaks on there, and it's just hilarious in the winter. So see if we get any deep snow, but every time it snowed, that thing is just a blast because it just doesn't get stuck. It just goes. Permanent all-wheel drive and manual and winter tires is fun. Been playing a little bit of, so some of you probably are aware, but we got an Xbox One X during the sale now. Actually, Root, let me show you because if I can look below here, these are the specs. This is an AST Pentium 100 originally, but upgraded with an overdrive processor to 166. Then an S3 Verge 4MB video card and a Voodoo 1 in there with an Auto 64. So specs as per below here. Ignore the X megabyte IDE to SD adapter. I forgot to put the size in there, but it's just like a 16 gig or something like that. So yeah, original hardware. It's a machine. I am from Sweden. That's where I grew up, and the machine I had around that era period is an AST. You may have seen those kind of towers. They're kind of like the front looks like Thanos' chin, basically has like a line down on them, and I figured I would never run into that again. But then after moving to America, then a few years ago, someone was selling 2 of those machines locally, and it was the same type of AST machine. It was basically identical, except under different branding. And be able to find one of those here, I just snapped it up right away because that was amazing for me to see that machine again. So that's been my primary DOS/Windows 95 stream machines ever since, which is what we're using here. So I've done some select upgrades to it, like the overdrive processor, crammed more memory in there, and put a better 4MB video card in there, and then also it's always had my Voodoo card that I had originally. So I'm capturing this through basically the way I'm set up right now is that I have the machine. So actually, let me do this. I'm going to switch to this camera here. I'm going to loud. Too. A little better there, but I'm going to switch to the action cam here, and I'm going to show you. But still, take you for a ride. So we have then, sorry for the shaky cam, down here. That's where the machine is. That guy right there, that AST machine, goes into a VGA splitter. Or sorry, it goes into a KVM first, which is right here. This trip-light KVM. Now everyone gets to see behind the scenes here. This is the trip-light KVM that I have hooked up, and then it goes down to a VGA splitter, which then goes to the CRT for me to play, and then it goes VGA from the other splitter down to my computer. That's down here. That has a data path capture card in it, and that's how I'm capturing it. So.
Don't shoot me.
Yeah. That's how we're capturing it. So basically, it is a native VGA capture using a data path capture card. So, press start button. Option. Gun looseness. We'll try it. See, can I... Oh god, it's the... Can't even use a mouse? That's 0. Why did it like 0? Yeah, I used to call it action cam, and I guess I disabled that for the...
Reload. Reload.
Oh! Oh, there we go. This will be a lot better if I could use the mouse.
Reload. Help me. Reload.
I don't know what the button is. He just kind of does it after a while.
Help me. Reload.
I don't know what the reload button is. It's really bizarre. I just don't know what the, like, the reload, like, I don't know if it's a 5 or... Probably should stop sending guys.
Help me. Reload.
The reload! Like it's auto reloads or something, but... That's so difficult with the keyboard.
Reload.
I still don't know what the reload is.
Reload.
No clue. But it's a competent enough port, I guess, so...
Reload. Help me.
It runs about the same as on the Saturn, or probably Saturn runs a little better, maybe.
Reload.
What's the reload?
Help me. Reload. 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 Reload.
I
Reload.
really wish I knew what the reload button was. It just like seems like it auto reloads. Whoops. Whoops.
Reload. Reload.
Probably stop sending guys. Just my thought, but thanks for playing Virtual Cop sample version. Might just stop by our website. Who knows what the reload was? Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like playing this on a home machine. It's just not going to be a a great experience. It is what it is, right? And it makes you really want a light gun. There's a lot of fun to be had with that, and those arcade games can be really fun. We went to Dave & Buster's a while back, and the kids were playing, and then my wife and I decided to play, I don't know what it was. It was like elevator action of some variety, which is an arcade shooter game, apparently, as well. And, like, the elevator open up, and bad guys come out and you shoot them, whatever. And we weren't dying. Like, normally in those games, you expect to play just a few minutes and get kicked out. We kept, like, we still have lives left? Like, we just kept playing and playing, and eventually we had to, like, stop, so... Gun looseness. They don't even tell you the... Exit. Alt F4. Is there help? Just see if it has a reload button. Gameplay. How to play. I know the screen signals. That's great, but gamepad, graphic keyboard, controls, PC keyboard. There we go. Move cursor. Reload is H. You got to push the button twice quickly. Got it. And that was really cool too. I remember, I think I was watching Starship Troopers at a friend's house, and he had bought like a surround system, and not a lot of people had them, I guess, but he had one with a full, he had a wide CRT and the whole kit, right? Watching DVD on that, and I was in there walking through in the spaceport or whatever. It's like, "Hey Rico," and it's coming from behind us, like, "Whoa, that's cool!" Like, started hearing that kind of stuff in real. You know, if it was mixed correctly, you could get a really good experience. Player 2 reload is 3, so press twice quickly. I'll try that one more time, not knowing the buttons. There's no settings on it. It would be nice to set down the graphics or anything, but there's no option. Bam. So, trip up, double tap 3. Yeah, there we go. Well, easier than anything. Oh! I didn't realize my sight was there. Yeah, this kind of game, I suppose, as well, if nothing else, would be...
Help me!
Was pretty cool in VR. I'm talking about audio, but... it feels like a pretty lacy port. I mean, hopefully it supports, like, gun... I guess it is just a port of the Saturn version, but the Saturn version supports gun or light guns, I assume. Getting a lot further now. I can reload. Well, that's get pretty boring without any music, huh? Aren't there some Virtua Cop or what's the gun games where you can like push a pedal to like duck and stuff?
Reload. Rifle.
Ah, dang it. Spawn there on purpose. And there's a lot of shooting. I'm using keyboard. There's no mouse. All right. This is the first level, so there you go. I made it. Was easier that time. You know, Alt F4 to get out of this. So that's cool. Let's see. I want to try the Ashes to Ashes because that looked like a really bad game on the list there. So I'm really curious on that one now. Ashes to Ashes. No, it really doesn't, and it becomes like a thing of like, oh, neat, but it lacks a lot of the experience, no doubt. So. Also, one thing I forgot to mention on the setup, too, I have all my machines networked, too, so I can get copied files and everything. I was curious to see if I have any other... I'm kind of tempted to check out some more MIDI music now to play on the MT200. Corel CD home. Really? Corel CD. That was the coolest stuff with this. Like you can tell they were just like, what else can we put on the CD besides the big demos, right? There's just tons of stuff, and that I think that was common for many of these bundle, cover discs or whatever. Because think about like when you went from the era where games were not that big, and all of a sudden you had 600 plus megabytes available on a CD. It's insane. You think about how many demos are on here. I mean, it's like well over a dozen, plus then all the patches and WADs and all that stuff. And it was a great way to get all this. So yeah, that's the thing. It's like you got to that era, it was huge. Death Drome. I think this is probably a remnant from when we did this last time. Sonic CD, same thing there. Where the heck did it drop it here? I need to clean this up around there. Corel CD Ashes to Ashes demo. This one was completely just Corel CD home. Radical fighters. Oh my. Oh my. Story. Let's see. Mouse settings. Okay, so Ashes, Ashes. Yeah. So it's gonna like do a skateboard jump and like have some surge. Story so far. Earth's future is bleak, devastated by decades of brutal warfare life on a planet that barely survived into this 20th yeah, whatever. Give me a gun. There's way too much story. Ashes, ashes. Yeah. Not too rough. Oh my. Not in an... Oh my. Wait, either. Brain. 2 evil brains left. Feels like a arena shooter. You jump like... It's got a little bit of a marathon slash like an FPS version of like Marathon or something. Or not FPS version, but it's like terminal velocity in that sense. But it very, very Marathon vibe is what I'm getting. But whoa. Whoa. Evil brain. It could be like, exciting. Let's see. I felt like Captain Power. Soldiers of the Future. I love that show. A vehicle? A lot of bad guys. Yeah, it is a little weird. Radical. Arena secured, evil brains destroyed, prepare to enter next mission. Spaceport to continue. Wow. That is extremely radical. What? Yeah, if this is all it is, I can see that being getting pretty tiring pretty quickly. And I mean, this might be a thing where, like, you know, you have fun with the demo, but would you buy this full price game, though? That's the question, because it is janky. Yeah, and that's the thing we saw earlier. I think it was like a 30% in the magazine now. Of course, you probably joined a little later route, but what we did earlier was we read through, or did a read-through of the magazine. This is a cover disc then, basically, right? So, and unless you were here for that, but we looked at the reviews for it, and then now I think it was like 39% or 36% or something like that for this game. So, yeah. Oh, that was like a homing thing. Ow. What? I don't think anyone's gonna come say that this is better than Quake, but... Pew. It is cooler, because it is in the Arctic, or whatever that is. It feels very much like a, you know... I mean... Rise of the Triad engine, got a little vibes of that, without the coolness. Oh no, falling down. I also feel like I'm controlling like a robot dog that's a snout. I have no idea what the mouse is doing right now. What's going on here? Am I stuck? The mouse keeps wanting to, or the aim keeps wanting to go up. I'm not gonna... Look down. Ah. There we go. I think I got off that slope there. He jumps like nothing, too. There's some jank here in this terrain movement here. There we go. Man. It just blew up. The old power up. Confirmed, this is a Christmas game. If this is all this, that's pretty... I feel like the wailing guitar is trying to sell something this game is not. This game anything but this arena shooter? I'm assuming not. I think I would have probably enjoyed the... Oh, what are those? Those things. Whoa, took out this whole terrain here. Ew. Ooh, personal space. I think this is a game I probably would have enjoyed the demo of a lot. But then I would probably get bored. There's nothing more to this, like, you know. The auto aim is something else. Like it auto locks on somehow. And there's running around like crazy. I like the forms of terrain, I guess, when they die. Some of those explode. Those are the evil brains anyway. I guess I should have read the story thus far. Yeah, that's the thing. There's probably not much more to it besides different arenas. Like, this is probably the whole game. Is there any other weapons? Nope, that's the plasma rifle, I guess. Sounds like a shotgun. A little jittery too, it's just kind of flying all over the place, but again, I probably would have enjoyed the demo. Like I am now, I'm having a good time enough, but I don't think I would see myself playing this and like, yeah, I'm gonna buy this game. It does not give me that vibe. We just finished the demo version of Ashes to Ashes. It's just a small sample of the action in the full version. In order to complete game with 50 new levels, 8 unique worlds, lots more vehicles and enemies. I don't know that 50... Yeah, radical. I don't think... Yeah, Arctic Zone, look at that. Neutron Valley, Desert Canyon, Bayou Sector, Crystal Quarry. I think that's probably just a reskin. If you have to do that over and over and nothing else, that would be... No. So yeah, Ashes to Ashes. Now we know why. It's cool they put that on there. Let's see, what else do we have? Well, like some cool names like Cyber Gladiators, but probably a fighting game. I'm not too fond of those, I suppose, but I guess I can look now in the magazine to see based on the names here. Marks of Golf, we did Sega Rally, we've already streamed KKND, we know what that's about. Retro Copper Course, Alien Trilogy, can't get that to work. DOS. Ultimate Warriors, Scorcher. A racing game, right? Oh, yeah. A Scorcher, maybe. A Cyber Gladiators is a fighter game. Risk is on here. Yeah, Simpsons Cartoon Maker. Yeah, we'll try. It was Scorcher and does have Windows 95 support, so let's try it. I don't remember Scorcher, but is it a racing game of some kind? Hello, Solar. Welcome. Launch, come on. CD is spinning up, so. Can do it. Seeking. The dump. Demo version. Use arrows to choose. Play the dump. Time attack and the dump. Just unceremoniously gonna dump us right in here now? I guess it is dump, so. Oh, wow. Well, this feels like a PS1 kind of title. The run smooth at 320 by 240. Minute. I see it, I guess, but it's a little... I don't know what's going on right now, but... Did I do anything? I can jump. I can fart. Oh, that's cool. I mean, it's competent enough, but my goodness. Lapping these poor guys here now. Big time PlayStation vibes here. But yeah, still, this is at least has some competence around it versus Ashes to Ashes. I mean, Ashes to Ashes. Props for the fart booster there, though. I think it actually is a fart. I think there is, in fact, a fart sound effect. Second, I never caught up to the first. Wow. Doing pretty well there, I think so. Speed farting. Well, of course, this game is pretty quiet. What's the volume differences? It's hard the way I set up my mixer right now, how to get that. Can I raise that track? Or is it going to dump us out now? Some of these demos are just like, here it is, and then they just... That level looks pretty cool, so... It was a time attack. How is it a time attack if I got second place? It's like, that doesn't make any sense. Nice. I haven't done, Whoa. No! I gotta jump now, too. How do you get the external camera? Definitely have some pod vibes, though. There's that, too. Woo! Whoa, jeez. Yeah, I have been kind of hankering for actually, with the MIDI module, I actually picked up a box copy of Windows 2000 Professional as well. And, I kind of miss 2000. I haven't messed with it in a long time. I tend to go with XP, of course, because it is such a... Timeout. Oh. Try that one more time since I know now. Windows 2000 is like when I switched to it, nothing would work, and then eventually games started working, and then it was really solid. And XP is such a fantastic retro operating system, but then 2000 is a very time-specific one. Well, 2000. And I did use it for quite a while. At least a year or more, so... I played all my games on that once they started working. Oh, goodness gracious. When you have to memorize a level, I think, to have a chance. this one runs smooth at least, so there's that part. Versus like say, oh dang it, like wow, it really puts you back far when you fall off, like really far. Oh no, it's got that, you know, wow, it puts you really back far. Yeah, all right, well that's not gonna happen then. Goodness. A competent enough game. I'll try that level one more time. Loading is pretty atrocious, though. Here we go. Yeah, and that's the thing. I actually talked to a coworker today and talking about how with Windows 2000 Professional before or after that, it was all merged into one, and the operating system for 2000 Professional, like, you know, it was a business operating system. There was no worry really about making it like... Dang it, my goodness, this is finicky. I wish I could switch the camera, but I don't know what button does it. Oh, for Pete's sake. Wow, I'm doing great at this. Really great. It's to me that the falling off piece is the kicker here. Can I make it this time now? See, I've fallen the stupid part like 100 times now. Oh, nope. I don't think I've ever seen a game put you that far back when you die. Look at that. Like, it drops me like a quarter of the track back. Yeah, I don't know. The camera was third person on the other track, but I went to this one now. It was first person. I don't think I pushed anything, but tried a whole bunch of different keys, but nothing would drop me, so... There you go, Scorcher done. Ow. I can uninstall some of this crap here now, but... Programs. See which ones to install. There's some other demos here too. Let's remove them. Yes, gone. Whoa. Uninstall crash. Nice. That one's probably gone already. Killer. Wow. Bam. Uninstall completed. Man, that is doesn't mess around. I guess there you go. Sonic Simple. Also one from before. And I really wanted to try the MIDI music in Transport Tycoon. Let's try it real quick, and then we'll probably call it tonight. But I really wanted to listen to what it sounds like, and I couldn't. It crashed every time. So it might be just the version I have, or I set the sound effects incorrectly. I could probably do the set the sound effects to nothing, because I'm not worried about the audio for the sound effects, just for the music. So for those joining us late, we have a new MIDI device on deck here, which is the Roland MT200 that's picked up today. It's kind of like designed to be a piano tutor recording stuff on a floppy, and you can actually play MIDI files off a floppy. But it also is an SC55. It doesn't have as many controls around it, but you can do the MIDI stuff, which we're doing right now. It lets you type the MIDI out to it, which is what we're then listening to. And Duke 3D sounded awesome. Thanks. Yeah, it was a nice one. It was a local auto collector as part of a little local retro group, and he was trying to reduce the stuff he has a little bit, and he had a few things for sale, and like, hey, that Roland looks awesome. And like, yep, it's yours. So I went and given some cash for that today and picked it up, and now it's going to be temporary or permanently installed in this retro setup here. I'd like to get more MIDI modules too. The MT32, of course, is the one that makes most sense, or the Yamaha XG of some variety and things like that. I'd like to get a couple more maybe, and we'll see if I, maybe get an SC55 too, just for the sake of this one is really big. It's got a big footprint, so. Okay, so first, we're going to go here, soft, we're going to run the MPU. Here are the games, CD, T, setup. We'll do no sound effects, and then we're going to do on canvas, 330, okay. Let's see if it crashes now. This game's got fantastic MIDI music. And the SG-55 does a great job at it. Gas in a can. Yep, that's... Yeah, this is one of my favorite games, honestly. I played so much of the original. I didn't play as much of Deluxe. I played it later, but... Oh, what a great game. It's this game that you can lose hours and hours to. I want to get into the game because there's a jukebox. Yeah. Gives it a little jukebox here. It's funny because this music is just ingrained in my brain, listening to just the general, or the regular MIDI stuff. But that is a great one. It's weird, it sounds so full, right? It has, because the instrumentation set is so much bigger and higher quality. Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of, I suppose, lost now, too. But, like, my wife created a lot of MIDI music in the 90s, using just a computer, of course, but no MIDI device. But she was, you know, recreating famous songs. Like, there's how many MIDI recreations of famous tracks are there, or famous songs? But, yeah, you're right. There was a time when everyone was trying to do this, like trying to make it a full replacement. And in some cases, like, here, it can sound really good, but it doesn't, you know, MIDI only goes so far. Same way, like a mod tracker, sounds a certain way. MIDI has a certain sound to it as well. But it makes me really want to cycle through and play a bunch of these games like that. System Shock with the MIDI support sounded awesome there, right? So, because here, I mean, it's a valid substitute, I think, for real regular recording. Sounds great. There's one more I want to check. Do we have Descent? I have Descent here at least, but I already have it on there, yeah. There's no specific choice for... What? Failed to find hardware. $230. Huh. Weird. Because the sound monster, I think, works fine, so... Or not at all. I think I tested this earlier and it was fine. There's no option for anything else. 330. It's going to fail now when it starts. Try to initialize it, but that's weird. Sound detection failed to find hardware. Huh. Yeah, this one I've used a lot with the, I think for Descent 2, I'd have to have the disc in. Maybe I can run the setup program without that. I just want to hear it. Yeah, there we go. There we go. It's a little weird, because Descent 1 has got, feel to me, better sound track than 2. 2 is really stressful for some reason. 1 is, like... really cool. Now I think we have Heretic. Sound canvas 330. Oh yeah. I did that too. I kind of I'm trying to remember, but I had a lot of music. Sounds great too. You can hear it. It's just a change in how the game feels, right? When you have this kind of music, it just feels so juxtaposition with what you're used to, which is the Sound Blaster, just standard kind of sound or ad-lib sound or whatever, and it sounds a little weird almost. Because, I mean, I certainly was not even aware of MIDI stuff back in the day. Alright, Solar, thanks for stopping by. Welcome to December indeed. Gotta get that December stuff out, I guess. I'm trying to do the PC challenge, but I gotta get the other video I'll have out. Hopefully here in the next few days, we'll see. But time flies. It's almost the end of the year. Thought 12/31 was far away, but pretty nice to be able to just turn it down like that on here. But yeah. There is a Tech Ambrosia, Amber there. She has a $100 PC challenge. The idea is to build a computer for $100, and the components have to be, I think it was a motherboard, CPU, GPU, and memory. Everything else was fine to whatever. Didn't have to spend that money towards that. The idea being is to show you can buy old parts and still have a useful computer, and then run a few specific benchmarks, and then maybe do something quirky with it. I have something in mind, and I bought the parts for it. I got it ready and everything, but it's just a matter of time. And here we are in December now. I thought I had lots of time, and here we're in December. So I'll see if I can crank that out, because we have bummer not to partake at this point. I do have a very specific idea, and yeah, that's a valid one, right? And I think that, you know, that's a valid one to buy for a used computer. Then it's just a matter of how quirky you want to make it or not, right? That's the easiest one. Buy a old pre-built Dell or, you know, HP, whatever it might be, and there you go. Modern machine is the idea, because it has to run, I think, I kind of forgot now. It has to be able to run a modern secure browser, because you would need to run a browser-specific benchmark on it, a Lost Planet demo benchmark, and one more thing. I forget. I gotta watch the video again. And then she'll have like kind of like a high score, you know. And I decided to build something. I bought random parts with a very specific idea in mind to make it more fun, a little more retro angle, because that's kind of what I like to do. But it's still a useful computer, and I had that specific thing in mind, and I just, like, I'm running out of time now, so hopefully I can get it done before 12/31. If not, then I'll just build it anyway, I guess, and not partake. But I felt I had so much time, and here we are. Now we're in December already, and I have to make this video about the idea cam first. I want to get that out here in the next few days, and then I can focus on that build and see if I can get it out before the end of the year. We'll see what happens, but hopefully there's a little time in the holidays I can make that happen. So that's a challenge. Keep an eye on that. You're probably going to see more stuff coming out. I don't know. I don't think so. As long as I can run the benchmarks she had in mind, then I think anything is fair game. But I don't know if Lost Planet, which is like a DX9 tile or something like that, or DX8, I can't remember. That's why she picked that one, because it's pretty light to run. So you can watch her video. She has that out there, so Tech Ambrosia. She has a video, and I think she's posting a video tomorrow as a reminder that, hey, the challenge is coming to an end. She has had it open almost the entire year, and of course I've gotten to the very end. And she's going to put it all together and then see DX10. Okay, thank you. Then she'll like kind of rate them based on performance and whatever, and then maybe showcase some of the quirky stuff that you can do with them. And I have a specific quirky thing in mind. So we'll see if that pans out. I would like to do it, but I'm running out of time. Yeah, it really does. I mean, I have a Steam Deck, and I love that thing, and it's just amazing how far we've gotten now lately with compatibility on Linux, thanks to Proton. So, all right, I better get to sleep here now. It is midnight here in the Midwest Central U.S. time. So thanks, everyone, for joining, and thanks all the new people showing up as well. It was a lot of fun going through this magazine. It's super nostalgic for me, so I appreciate everyone kind of tagging along for that. And it's also fun to play these games on demos and everything. Also tinkering with the new MIDI stuff. So anyway, fun stream. We'll hopefully see everyone next week. So thanks so much for hanging out, and I'll see everyone in Discord or anything. If anyone wants to join, by the way, I'll throw a new invite here in Discord. No pressure. If anyone wants to join that was not joined right now, feel free to hop in there. We'll just kind of chat about random games and stuff. But no pressure if no one wants to join. So a lot of people already in there. But anyway, thanks so much for joining. Have a good weekend. And then hopefully see everyone next week. So, good night. See you later.